What a day, what a day, what a day. I don't know if I'm live or not. This microphone is not where I want it. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. I'm sure there's all kinds of bad noises coming from me moving this freaking thing around. But you know, you gotta get things the way you want them. Sometimes being particular is actually a virtue. Okay, let me know if you can hear me fine. Just out of frame, I'll tell you guys what, just out of frame is some real chaos. Let me see if I can't just give you guys a sense of like, yeah, I was running late for this, and so yeah, we're gonna find a way to make this into something. All right, Bruce Johnson. Good evening, coming in clear. How you doing, Bruce? Thanks for joining. Yeah, so we're gonna do a tasting. I've got a couple of different. Oh, and I see Bourbon Baller mentioned he's a huge fan of Heaven Hill. Well, I'm glad to hear that because there's a lot of Heaven Hill products lined up in here. I'll just go ahead and run through everything I've got in front of me, and then we can talk about how this is going to actually go forward. So I have a sample of Old Fitzgerald 13, which I've already poured into a glass, and we'll talk about how we're going to make this blind in a moment. But I've also got Heaven Hill, the Old Fitz 14, the Old Fitz 9-year, and then two different larceny picks. Now I've got the A120, the first larceny barrel proof. I don't want to use that because the proof I think is substantially higher than 100, and I want to keep things pretty close in terms of proof points. These are close-ish, 92. It's not that far off. I've got the Crown Liquors Larry pick, which I bought because it's my dad's name. And this is the Smooth Fruit pick from Larceny. Bourbon Baller says, "Where's the 20-year?" I don't have a 20-year. I have no Heaven Hill 20-year-old anything. Sorry. So that's just not the kind of stuff I have access to with any regularity. But I've also got a couple of other products here. I've got a Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 19 Crown Liquors pick, and the reason I put this in here is this is a wheated mash bill. And then I've got a store pick of Weller Antique 107 from Big Red. And, oh yes, the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year. Bruce Johnson says, one of these days I'll hold an Old Fitz. Yeah, I bet we can make that happen, my man. They are... They're easier to find in Indiana than a lot of the hyper-allocated stuff. And I will say, if you go down to the Heaven Hill Distillery, you have a pretty good chance of getting one. Friday or Saturdays, get down there about 9 o'clock, at least 2 hours before they open, which I think is 9. But I've had several friends go down there and get either Elijah Craig 18 or Old Fitzgerald decanters because they were there first in line, and so they got it first thing. Bourbon Baller, it's okay. I had a chance to try it 1 year ago. Too spendy for this baller. And Bourbon Baller, I know you know how to be a baller too, so that's saying something. If it was too expensive for you and just not worth it, I get it though. I mean, once you get into the 20-year range, it's hard. They're not always the case, but it's often the case that they don't live up to the hype. Segue, which is kind of what we're doing here. I intend to blind taste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pours tonight. And we're going to see how we rank them. Now, if I was more prepared, I would have all of these... Yeah, 5K. Jesus Christ. That is too spendy, baller. Wow. But if I were more prepared, I would have already had all of these poured in equal-sized samples with labels that corresponded to a different set of labels that corresponded to the actual pours. And then, there you go. I've got I've got all my blindness set up for me. But as it stands, I think what I'm going to do is pour these all out while we're chatting, label them. We'll do 1 through 8. Let's not make my brain hurt more. We'll do them 1 through 8. And then I'll do the old mixeroo, and I might put that on camera too, and turn the camera down a little bit so you can see me mix them all up, and rely on my bad memory to make it a blind. You gotta do that sometimes. It's been a fun week. That's the kind of week it's been. But we'll make it work. Okie dokie. Enough delay. Oh, by the way, don't put these shirts in the dryer on hot. It seems to have lost some of its color, but that's on me. Should have read the instructions on the shirt. Anyway, let's... I just heard my dog bark. I don't really know why. Anyway, let's... do I have tape? Do I have something I can write on these glasses with? Let me see. I'll go off screen really quickly and talk loudly so you can hear me while I rummage around for something to write with that looks like tape. I don't have any tape. Okay. I've got sticky notes. Well, I can't use the numbers in the bathroom because I need this to be blind, so I can't actually see the numbers that I'm using. Maybe a tape fairy will show up and give me tape. That's in the second drawer in the back room. We'll see. How's everybody's week going? Hope you guys are having a good week. It's been an interesting one for me. Yeah. That's a word I'd use for it. This is kind of a fun... I keep this on my bottle of Old Rip, but it actually... it doesn't fit great on the Old Fitz. But, you know, what do you gotta do? Excuse me. Somebody tell me what they're drinking. Somebody in the chat, tell me what you're sipping on. 2 weeks until the barrel picks arrive. Bourbon Baller's getting some good stuff coming in. I hope. I'm sure he hopes to. I mean, he picked them, so... I haven't ever had a pick. I've been on a couple picks, but I don't think I've ever had a pick where I was actually like, yeah, this is not what I remember it being. It's always been the same or better, so I've been lucky maybe in that regard, but yeah. Also, I did not wax my mustache today. Like I said, everything was very last minute, so... Oh yeah, the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof. That's gonna be that's a winner right there, Bruce. Honestly, like, people are sleeping on the Jack Daniel's, and spoiler, I've got a little bit of a review. It's an embedded review. I'll let you figure out what that means later, but my review of the Jack Daniel's Special Release 2020 Single Barrel Proof Rye. It's the longest name for a whiskey ever. That review is coming out on Friday. That's already out for patrons. If you're in my Patreon, it's already out there. If you're not in the Patreon, then it's coming out tomorrow, around 11 a.m. Eastern. Stag Killer. That's a bold statement, but I don't think you're wrong about it, Bruce. That is some seriously good stuff. Thank you. Excuse me. All right, well, now I've got some tape. So let's start putting marks on these glasses. So the glass that already has whiskey in it, that's the Old Fitz 13. Phone Doctor 1, 2, 3, 4 Roses Small Batch Select. Nice. 2015 Bourbon Ball. Bourbon Baller's always drinking like fucking hitters. The 2015 GTS. Get out of here with your fancy ass whiskey. I mean, I can't say too much. I've got old rips and shit up here, but still, like, Bourbon Baller's always got some serious baller whiskey. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this number 2, and the reason is because I'm gonna do the Old Fitz's just in order, so I can keep track of my sanity of like what is what. So number 1 is gonna be the Old Fitz 9-year. Let me go ahead and make a number for that. See, you guys are getting the real down and dirty, the process of putting together a blind. You know, more organized channels might not put that up, but we like the nitty gritty here on the Drink Pro. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, I got permanent marker on myself. Super. I hope that doesn't get onto the table, but it probably will. What are you gonna do? Now, got to open up the 9-year. Which, shout out to Trevor, because I bought this one from Trevor. 2009 Four Roses small batch on Monday. That sounds tasty, Bruce. That's good enough. I'm just gonna have to rely on myself being not very attentive once again to make sure that I get the right amounts on these pours. You know, the one might be a little higher than the other. We're just gonna have to trust my ability to intentionally forget. And I'll tell you a tip: if you ever need to intentionally forget something, don't try to forget it, because the more you try to forget something, the more you're thinking about it, which means you're gonna think about it and you're gonna remember it. It's a good Buddhist technique, actually. One of the hardest things in Buddhism is learning how to be present. And people spend all their life practically learning to meditate and how to be present. But the harder you try to stop thinking about other things, then you're still thinking. It's kind of a quandary. All right. So 1, 2, and 3. That was a little heavy-handed. That's my 14-year. I've got the Old Fitz 9, the Old Fitz 13, the Old Fitz 14. I'm just kind of putting them down here to the side, so I've got them lined up in the order that they're numbered. Phone Doctor, best Four Roses you've had so far. I'd be curious if you guys... Bruce mentioned the 2009 Four Roses SB. I wonder if you guys have had any of the limited edition stuff, and if you have, how did you feel about it? Because some of that limited edition Four Roses I thought was just fantastic. Excuse me. All right, now let's move to. Let's just keep all the larceny all together here. This is number. Bruce said N. Mysterious. I assume that means no, but I don't know that it means no. And I've made enough assumptions for one lifetime. I just killed a bottle of the 17 and 18. Sad bottles to see go, I'm sure. Let's do number 4 here. This is number 4. Let's do 2019. Oh, Bruce, I had the 2019 Four Roses limited edition. Fantastic. Myself and a couple of friends, we went to Payless Liquors on the north side of Indy, and they had an event, bourbon lottery, pretty standard style bourbon lottery. This is maybe a year ago, maybe 2. Hard to remember now, all that's blended together after COVID. I think it was 2 years ago, actually. But at the event, they had tastings, and one of the tasting booths, and these are all free. I mean, it was no entry, no cost to enter the event, no cost to enter the lotto. At one of the booths, they had 2019 Four Roses limited edition, and you got like I think 3 or 4 tickets when you came in to taste, and you could just taste whatever you wanted. But a lot of people were only tasting 1 or 2 things and then just giving away their tickets. And so I collected quite a mass of tickets and just hung out with the dude pouring Four Roses. And I probably had 5 or 6 pours of that the 2019 limited edition before we killed that bottle. We asked him if there was any limit, if we could, you know, only have 1 or 2 pours. He said, no, go for it. And I think he had a couple of bottles, but we got there a little late, so we got to the last one. But yeah, man, that was a freaking great experience. And like Bruce said, that's a really good pour. I've actually got in the works a pretty massive Four Roses limited edition side-by-side lineup. I've got a bunch of different samples, including the 2020, that I'm going to be doing a video review of. But that's in the future. I don't want to get too distracted because I know you guys want to see me actually taste some shit. So this is number... Oh, I already got 4 on there. So let me go ahead and pour. 4 is going to be the Smooth Fruit. So I've done something foolish. This particular glass is the one outlier. Oh, and I don't have enough glasses either. Well, that's not actually shit, just perfect. I'm gonna get a couple of other glasses. Oh my god. Oh, Justin Gibson bringing up Wine Fest. Oh, I'll tell you guys a story about that, but I gotta get 2 more glasses because I don't have enough glasses here in front of me. Oh, man. So, let's talk about Wine Fest for a minute. Wine Fest really was just a mess. And Justin is right that the Wine Fest 2017, we got so many freaking tickets to drink samples of wine. And yeah, it was pouring down rain. We huddled under a tent. We drank so much fucking wine. Poor Justin, man. Justin had to babysit the fuck out of me. I drank way too much wine, way too fast, and a friend of his was at the event, and we went to her place, and Justin had somewhere to be. We had to get out of there, and I was just sick as a dog. I'm glad I didn't throw up in her house, but I threw up all over her fucking bushes. I was just dry heaving into her fucking landscaping. That was the day that I learned that you can't drink wine like beer. Because I had done that kind of thing at beer fests regularly. And of course I should have known, because wine's a much higher proof. But I didn't. And so, thanks, Justin. I think you're being kind. But we had a lot of fun before the chaos. But yeah, you know, that it's an important, Bruce, the effing Catalina wine mixer. You know, I learned something important about myself that day. And, you know, we all do it. We all drink too much sometimes. I think you're never going to stop drinking too much entirely, you know, in people. Like, people are always going to sometimes do that. I think the difference is, do you learn from it, and do you not repeat the same mistake? Because you can get tipsy, you can get a little drunk, and you can have fun, and it's not going to be a problem. That one started to venture into problem territory. Anyway, let's get to pouring these samples. Oh, man. Glad to have you on the stream, Justin. Jesus Christ, man. That was a shit show, brother. That was a total shit show. Now, part of what I'm doing with this particular pour is I'm taking the number off the bottom, because this glass is one that's unlike any of the other glassware I have, so it would be super obvious what's in it if I, you know, don't mix it up somehow. I'm trying to trick my brain, remember? Only Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. Oh, God. Man, if I drink some of that garbage. Justin said last time I mixed so much wine. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. Let's pour some of this. I'm just gonna get moving here because I want y'all to drink with me, and I'm already 20 minutes in and I haven't taken a damn sip. That is a problem. All right. Oh boy. Bourbon Baller drank a lot of wine when he was a kid. This is I'm already screwing this up, guys. I can feel it in my bones. That's 4. That's 8. So then I've got 5, 6, 7, and I got 3 left. Okay, I haven't screwed it up too much yet. That's good. It's a good sign. Yeah, I avoided a lot of the cheap wine. I actually didn't drink very much when I was, actually I didn't drink hardly at all when I was underage, if at all. I started drinking in law school, sort of out of necessity to deal with that nonsense. But then over time I learned to enjoy it more and need it less. I think is a generally good approach to any kind of substance. But it can be easy to get lost in the sauce sometimes. We're trying to avoid that. Okay. Enough jabber. Yes, sir. That's going to be 6. See, I've already forgotten what was in which bottle, which is good. I mean, that's the... yeah, you're right, Bourbon Baller. That's exactly right. Which was the point of doing it like this, is that I have no idea what's in what. I've got all the answer key down there. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Coughing into the microphone is frowned upon, but I don't have a cough button, you see, so... I'm just gonna cough sometimes, and y'all just gonna have to deal with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to set up myself a little area here. Make this a little bit less chaotic than it currently is. Try not to spill anything. Mix these glasses all up. Not pay attention to what I'm doing. Make all kinds of a ruckus. That's the way. Oh yeah, I was going to show you guys. Mixing it up. I can only do this while holding the camera. It's on a mount that makes this kind of difficult, so you can see the level at which chaos has ensued, though. And if you're curious, oh ding, if you're curious, I've got 3 different glasses in here. They are not all identical, but they're all mixed up enough, and there's multiples of every one, so I shouldn't know what's what. I've got clear glasses. I've got a couple of I Drink and I Know Things glasses, and I've got my Drink Pro glasses available at thedrinkpro.com. Yeah. So, that's a great question. Bourbon Baller calling out my wrenches. Where are Trevor and Nate? Who knows? I know Trevor was here early on. But, yeah, he was in the pregame squad. I think he only posted the once. That's okay. I forgive him. Okay. That was a lot of preamble, a lot of setup. Let's start drinking some whiskey. Now, I think the way I'm going to do this is just ranking them. Just what I like. And I'll give you guys tasting notes. I will... I'll give you guys tasting notes. Can I make this a little bit more of an angle so you guys can actually see the table? Not really. Oh, well. That's okay. I'll give tasting notes. I'm going to go through these pours, and then we'll look at the bottom. My father-in-law. This is Bruce Johnson. Yeah, so I'll read the bottom. I'll check the numbers only after I do the 1 through 8 tasting. I'm just gonna taste them randomly and see which ones I like and try to line them up in some kind of order. And we'll do a reveal at the end. It'll be a good time. Bruce Johnson. My father-in-law is a lawyer and a Scotch drinker, and so are his lawyer colleagues. Is that a lawyer thing by tradition? Kinda, yeah. I think for a certain kind of lawyer, and this probably wouldn't have been your father's lawyer, but for a certain kind of lawyer, everybody wanted to be Denny Crane from Boston Legal, have a cigar and a Scotch on the patio. But yeah, there's a real drinking culture in law, and sometimes it gets too far into the excess. Unfortunately, lawyers have one of the highest rates of drinking problems of any profession, but part of that's the stress. I think there's definitely a way to drink that is unhealthy, and there's a way to drink that's healthy. And so I am a big advocate of, like, attorneys in particular learning how to find healthy coping mechanisms for stress, so that when you're having a drink, you don't need a drink. You want a drink. Especially tax law. Yeah, tax law is, it's a bit taxing, huh? Oh, I hate that. I hate myself for that joke. This squeaky ass chair. Let's get to drinking. Number 1, no label on this. Well, this is a lineup of, I think everything in this lineup is a wheater. So this will be kind of a fun experiment to see, like, how much wheat does a wheater wheat. And actually, you know what? Yeah, everything. So I have 2 pours in this lineup at 107 proof. I have 2 pours in this lineup at 107 proof. I have 3 pours in this lineup at 100 proof. I have 2 pours in this lineup at 92 proof, and 1 pour in this lineup at 95 proof. Excuse me. Oh boy, bad joke Thursday. Hey, I've got a million of them, man. I really don't. I like to think my jokes are usually funnier than that. But sometimes you just gotta lead with a pun. You know what? That's a good point. Bourbon Baller says Rebel 10 is a great wheater. I don't think I have... Oh, I have 1 Rebel store pick, but it's not open right now. And I've been kind of in a killing bottles mood, not an opening new bottles mood, so I'll definitely have to open that later and compare it to some of these pours, though. Plus, I've got 8 pours in front of me, so I think I've got plenty. Now, my guess already on this is that this is one of the lower dollar wheaters. I don't want to start with that one. Let's start with this one. Let's start with a different one. Ooh, okay. I like the nose on this better. This one is a lot more fruity, creamy. It's pretty sweet and sharp still. It's got like a citrus sharpness. It's not small dollar ballers. That's right, man. That's where I try to keep it usually. I mean, I've had a couple of hitter bottles on here, but yeah, something like Rebel 10's a good small dollar baller bottle for sure. I can't breathe out of my right nostril again. I really should go to the doctor. This nostril almost certainly is collapsed or something. I've got some kind of like deviated septum or something. Who knows? Woo. That's got some... Wow. That's very sharp on the palate. Wow. See, now that's tricky. I didn't think I had anything that was that spicy in this lineup. Or oaky, for that matter. I'm getting a lot of interference on my screen here. Oh, I should have added the ticker before. Hey, join the Patreon. You can see it right now below. Right there. Anyway. I forgot to turn that on. Yeah, that is oaky and pretty sharp. The grain definitely stands out. Yeah, not my favorite. It doesn't have a whole lot going on. I'm going to start holding these like this because you can see the numbers on the bottom if I don't. Yeah, this one is surprisingly bitter and oaky. Um, it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. But it's a very thin sweetness. It's like sugar, like granulated sugar, and then lots of tannins and bitter oak at the finish. And then some black pepper. Definitely black pepper on the finish as well. My feed is glitching out more than I would like it to. I may need to do some configuration despite despite my desire not to. Uh-oh. Shit, what have I done? Oh boy. I sure thought there was a way for me to change that, but I guess there's not. That's okay. We'll just keep drinking. Ah, there it is. I found it. Oh, I can't change it midstream though. Oh no. Y'all just gonna have to deal when it's glitchy. It's glitchy. Such is life. C'est la vie. This mid palate's really weak sauce. Super sharp, bright, and grainy up front. Mid palate dies, totally dies. Then the finish, you start to get that really nice oakiness. More oak than I typically prefer. It's very prominent, but it's very clean. It's a very clean flavor. Sharp, bitter. Yeah, it's fine. That's firmly in the fine category. Okay, now let's go back to this one that I smelled first and said I didn't want to start with it. Let's see how it compares. Boy, after tasting one, this really became more interesting. It's a lot more doughy. I get like a really nice, like a cookie dough. And cinnamon. I get cinnamon and baking spices like, ooh, I got like nutmeg and buttery crust. This is really like baking. Maybe like a caramel. That one went down my throat. I've had it make me sneeze before when it goes up in my sinuses. That one went down my throat. Wow. Okay. It's fine. Nestle doesn't make bourbon. No, they do not. Oh. That's so much better than I thought it was going to be. Wow. Based on that first nose, I thought this was going to be garbage. But this thing is chocolatey. Oh, man. This thing is nice. It's like chocolate chip cookie dough on the nose. It's pretty quiet when you first taste it, but then it immediately opens up into the mid palate with this beautiful, sweet sugar, cinnamon, Butter, lots of butter, very creamy. And then the chocolate is very prominent too, with the semi-sweet chocolate morsel kind of chocolate. Nice long finish to it. It's kind of oaky, but it's oaky in a much more subtle way, I would say, than the first one I tried with the oakiness felt quite sharp. Yeah. Thin. I mean, I like the fruitiness in the first pour, but it's super thin mid palate, very grainy mid palate, and then the finish is bitter barrel tannin oak, like it's over oaked. This one, your first taste leaves a lot to be desired in this. You get a touch of honeysuckle and a little bit of sugar, but that's about it. But the mid palate opens up beautifully. This wonderful baking cookies with grandma vibes. And a very nice finish. Definitely ahead of that first pour. If Nestle made bourbon, that's a fucking problem. I have to agree. I think if Nestle starts making bourbon, we're gonna have real problems. Ooh, this smells nice. Now this is much fruitier. Much more fruity. It makes me instantly think Buffalo Trace. Because there's a couple of Buffalo Traces in here. I don't remember which glasses they're in, but Buffalo Trace always gives me this kind of fruity berry note. And that's what I'm picking up here. It's like raspberries. And it's like raspberry preserves. It's got like the sugar in the raspberries, but they're concentrated, not fresh. This stuff is going to be tasty. I could do a whole ASMR bourbon show, I'm sure. I'll probably do that at some point. Just for kicks. Because I actually do watch some ASMR content. If you're not familiar, it's a... I don't remember what ASMR stands for. Something about the meridian nervous response. I don't know. It's basically people whispering, and it makes your spine tingle in a fun way. Go figure. The internet's a weird place. If you ask me blind, without doing this, without tasting or smelling these, if I'd prefer this pour or this pour that had the cookie note, I would have said definitely I'm going to prefer this. But right now, I think I prefer the one with the cookie note. Let's go ahead and taste this and see if that stays that way. Now that's a shame. This this one it smells like beautiful fruit, but it tastes kind of like rotten fruit. Not great. The second pour is better, or second taste, but it still has this almost acrid, rotten mid palate. No, finish. Lots of pepper though that I like. I like the pepper on the finish on this one. A lot of honey, pepper. Long finish too. This is the longest finish yet. A lot to chew on. Bourbon Baller. I found a lot of bottles under 50 that are better than some of my 100 plus bottles. The weeded flights are good, and it's in that pocket. That's good to know. There are definitely some like $50, $60 bottles that are better than $100 bottles all day. A lot of the times I've had some really good store picks. I've had some really good Russell's Reserve picks that I felt that way about. There is a personal preference component to this, but absolutely, like, money spent, and that's kind of the point of this stream in some ways, was like, I'm not always certain that money spent is always going towards better whiskey. In fact, I'm pretty certain it's not. And I wanted to test in a blind if the Old Fitzgerald decanters, where they fit on that spectrum. Because I happen to have 3 different pours from the Old Fitzgerald decanter line and wanted to find out. Now, the start of it, yeah, you get that honey sweetness. This kind of reminds me of the first pour I had in the sense of like honey sweetness, very quiet mid palate, and then a lot more oaky finish. But I got a lot more berry on that the first time, so. I think that's Jefferson. I think that first one I tried was Jefferson's Ocean. Because now I'm starting to get that like weird sea breeze quality. Yeah, we'll see. Definitely better. The third one's definitely better than that first taste. Proof and Wood Presidential. Great $65 bottle. I have never seen Proof and Wood Presidential. I don't know what that is. Some bourbon baller is going to educate me today. Drink Pro is going to get taught. Ooh. So after tasting the first two, or after tasting the first one I tried and the third one I tried, that second one, coming back to it, has almost a banana bread note. The baking is coming through more in almost a banana bread kind of way. Let's pick another one right out of here. This one. Ooh, I like that. Go tell your friends about this stream. Tell them to get on. I didn't do a good job of promoting this stream, I'll be honest. Self-promotion is not one of my strong suits, to be honest with you. I try to push things on Instagram and Facebook and what have you. I should do more on Twitter, but I can't give a shit about Twitter. I can't make myself care about Twitter. But, yeah, I think that, self-promotion is pretty unnatural to me. And so I'm probably just going to stop doing it. We'll see how that goes. I may have to start doing it again, but I don't care about it. And, I want to engage with people who care about this stuff. And I engage with you guys through the streams. And I do engage with the social media platforms in some ways. But I think, like, people who want to watch this stuff are going to find a way to watch it. And word of mouth is my best bet. So I think I really am going to be relying in the future on you guys, my friends, my fans, my supporters, to help me promote the channel. In the sense of just telling people. Just tell people if you want to watch it. Bourbon baller, my friends are losers. I think they think I'm a nerd. I'd rather talk bourbon than not play video games. I get that. I get that. Now this one's got the fruity note as well. But the fruity note on this is a lot more blueberry. This might be the Old Rip Van Winkle, because I get a lot of sweet aromatics on it. Sweet aromatics, citrus, berries, some apple. Let's taste it. Ooh. Ooh. That's got to be the Old Rip. That's so fucking good. I've tried a couple of different Van Winkles, and I'm hoping to do a full line of all of the Pappy Van Winkles here in the future. But this one, I don't know. Like, I've tried the Lot B and I've tried the Van Winkle 15, but something about the Old Rip, the 10 year at 107 proof, just really hits good notes for me. Bourbon Baller hasn't played video games with Atari. I think the last time I seriously was playing video games was Xbox 360. I don't know how many generations ago that was, but I was super into a couple of games on the 360. I loved Rock Band. I played Rock Band religiously. That was sort of when I broke it. Minimum Cool. I actually drink a lot of Old Granddad. It's cheap and it's good. Heck yeah, man. OGD is a really good choice. A lot of people love the 114 proof as sort of a staple in their lineups, but even the lower proof stuff is solid whiskey. People sleep on those cheaper pours. I am a sucker for JTS Brown myself. I think that's one of the best, budget bourbons you can possibly buy. Bruce is 55 and playing COD and Borderlands on the regular and drinking bourbon. Bourbon Baller has too much. The controller has too much shit going on. All right. I mean, this thing, beautiful. So much fruit. And then the mid palate has an excellent breadiness to it. So it's a wheater. The grain shows up, but it's after this gorgeous fruit. So it's like jam on toast. And then this nice gentle oak in the finish. Almost a nuttiness, really. Easily number one. Not even close. Let's grab another pour. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this one is meaningfully different than everything I've tried so far. Now, I had initially said that I thought the first one I tasted was probably Jefferson's. But boy, if you had put a gun to my head, I would guess this one's Jefferson's. Because it's super grain forward. And I always got that from Jefferson's. Rocksmith on PS4. I haven't played that before, Bruce. Does sound like it's up my alley, though. Oh, man. Oh, let me give you some notes on this before I taste it. I'm having a hard time giving notes on this. It's very quiet. Whatever this is, I think it's definitely lower proof. I think this one is the Larry. The Larceny Larry. Because I remember it being very grain forward, but relatively subtle otherwise. Sure tastes like Larceny. Tastes watered down. Yeah, this just tastes like if you were going to tell somebody like what is just the most standard wheater profile, this is kind of what I would give. It's quiet. It's gentle. It's got the grain note in the mid palate instead of the rye spice. It's, honey, sweet and easy. Pretty much nothing on the mid palate. Light pepper on the finish. Light oak on the finish, but it's pretty subtle. All in all, it's a pretty subtle pour. Maybe I'm getting like a green apple. And maybe a hint of like some kind of herbal note. Not mint. Maybe like eucalyptus. Something subtle like that. Oh, interesting. So going back to the first pour I tried, the finish is a lot longer, a lot more pepper, a lot hotter. But it's also a lot more well-rounded. Even though it felt thin right off the bat, right out of the gate, the thinness on this really shows that that isn't as thin as I might have originally thought. This has a weird, like, oily texture, which is why I'm hesitant to say it's thin. It's not thin in the sense of, like, the mouthfeel. It's actually rather thick in the mouthfeel, but it's light on flavor. It's like drinking olive oil, which is kind of gross. Yeah, I think although I think the most recent tasting is closer to my standard preferred profile, I still have to put the first pour above it because it's more complex, it's more well balanced, and it lingers longer. I think if you gave me either one of these pours, I'd be perfectly happy. But if you made me choose one of the two to sip all night, I'm definitely going to go with the first one. All right, let's break in to yet another pour in the lineup. Okay, interesting. My freaking nose, guys. We're losing viewers left and right. Some nights are just like that. I mean, like I said, I didn't do much self-promotion for this one. I forgot to put up, I put it up today, but I usually try to remind people about 10 or 20 minutes before it goes live, and I didn't do that today, and whatever. It's fine. The 5 people that are currently watching it, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm doing it for you. If you want to jump in the chat, if you have anything to say to me, please say it there. You got any questions, please ask them there. I'm happy to keep doing this stream, but I'm not going to stop. So this is a great chance to have a lot of individualized conversation about whiskey, about what your favorite thing is, about your biggest downfall, your pitfalls, your loves and your losses. Now this one has a real like moldy bread vibe, which is weirding me out a little bit, to be honest. What's a good value bottle of Scotch? Not smoky. I like the big hitters, but they get too spendy. That's a great question. I'm gonna look at my Scotches for a minute. I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of Glen Grant. It's not peaty. You're probably gonna get a slight sea breeze note from it, because I think it's a Speyside, just off the top of my head. But it is a really beautiful, sweet, gentle pour. It does a lot of good things. Another one I think is a really good option is Balveni. Balveni has some amazing pours. Pretty much anything. If you can find a Balveni, you're not going to be mad you bought it. Value bottles always tricky too with Scotch, because the values in Scotch are very different from the values in bourbon. Like a value bourbon to me is like 20 or 30 bucks, and a value Scotch is probably going to be double that. I would say, honestly, the Glenlivet Founders Edition is a really, really good, like $40 to $50 bottle of Scotch. And it gets kind of poo-pooed because they basically put it out there as a entry level Scotch, a way to bring cocktail drinkers into Scotch. But like, if it's good, I don't care, right? Like, it's a good whiskey, and so I don't care what their intent was in making it. I liked it. So, you know, Balveni's a good choice. I love Glen Grant stuff. But I think if you want a hot take, it's the Glenlivet Founders Edition. I like it better than most of the other Glenlivet products. Oh, and Glenmorangie 12. Glenmorangie 12 is also a really good option. So, Bruce, you mentioned Suntory. I don't think the Suntory is a Scotch. Isn't the Suntory Japanese or a blended world whiskey? Oh yeah, man, the Yamazaki. Ugh, I want a Yamazaki 18 so fucking badly. The Yamazaki Yamazaki 18 is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. And it could be because I was drunk in Japan when I had it. But I tell you what, man, I was so happy with it. Japanese Scotch. Get the fuck out of here with that. Come on. Japanese Scotch. The Scots would have a fucking heart attack. What the hell am I smelling here? This is okay. Let's get back to business. Japanese Scotch. This is better than the last one I just tried. They probably are. This is better than the last one I tried, but I think this is also a larceny. This has, it's. I mean, they're the only ones in the lineup I think that are. Yeah, the 92 proofers are both the larcenies. They kind of stand out as lower proof. It's fine. I definitely think it is blended whiskey brews. This one, I like this one better than the other one that I believe is larceny. The one I just tried most recently, which would have been my fifth pour. This one's, I think this one's the smooth fruit, because that's what I get on it. It's smooth. It's got a lot of apple, a little bit of cherry. Lots of honey, tons of honey, into a very gentle, oaky mid-palate and finish. Slight bitter note on the finish, but I definitely like that better than my last one. Let's try it compared to my first pour. I think I might prefer my first pour to this too. Boy, that's a close call. I think my first pour just barely wins, only because that particular taste, that bottle, it's just not as complex. I value complexity. I like unique, complex pours, and the first pour had a lot more complexity, a lot more uniqueness, and it was longer. It was more rounded and robust. That last pour, it's fine. It's good, but it's not like exquisite. Bourbon Baller's getting a bottle of Hibiki 21 in the near future. That is very interesting to me. I've never tried Hibiki 21. I'd be fascinated to get a taste of that. I would love to try that one. Let's make that. Let's see if we can't make that happen, Bourbon Baller. I'd love to try that. Let's make that happen, man. Awesome. All right. We're getting into the last couple here. This is number 7. They're starting to blend together a little bit, I'll be honest. Oh man, now what's happening? Hold on. I'm actually going to mute my mic for this. Oh man. All right. Well, I blew my brains out because now I'm all busy. But I can smell a lot better. This is not the same one I was just smelling. This is the one I was just smelling. Not that it matters, but excuse me. I would love to come out to Seattle. I got to find some other chances to get out there. I'll definitely be out there in September, but maybe we can get a sample of that together for when I come out there. That'd be awesome. Now this one, I get a lot of red fruit. I get a lot of cinnamon. Definitely still honey. A lot of the same notes in all these wheaters. That's not terribly surprising. You know, it's the same kind of basic things going into all these whiskeys. But what stands out to me is that the robustness varies drastically. The complexity, the nuance varies drastically. And honestly, the depth varies pretty drastically. And some of that's proof point, but some of that is also just character of the whiskey. This, to me, is I mean, I'm already thinking like we're getting into the top half of the board here. We're going to taste it and find out, but I mean, I love the cinnamon. I love the nutmeg, apple. Definitely got that doughy quality that I talked about before. I get some green oak on this, which is interesting. I don't usually get green oak. Oh, I got it. I got the pour in my mustache. All right, let's taste it. Meh, it's fine. Lot of pepper, a lot of oak. There's just nothing at the start of this pour. And see, that pour that I just tried, that was my third place pour right now. It had so much more mid palate. It has more pepper on the finish. This one's more rounded. It's got a round flavor. It's robust. Bourbon Baller just got Crown 16 Rye at the store. Check out my review, Bourbon Baller. That's coming out tomorrow. It's already out for Patreon members, but it's coming out tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for regular viewers. And I review the Crown 16 Rye, and you'll find out how I feel about it. I mean, this is fine. It's kind of growing on me, though. Like, it's got... The grain note's really prominent, but the more I keep sipping it, the more round the flavor gets. Let me try it against this one again. No. That berry note just always wins for me. This pour, my number 3 slot, is all berry, no finish. And this one, my current tasting 7, which is probably going in the 4 slot. It's really well balanced. It's got a delicious oaky pepper finish. It's got subtle sweet honey grains. I mean, I like a lot of things about it, but profile-wise, I just am always going to go with that fruitiness over whatever that was. Let me taste again my first pour, which is almost gone, just to see if I do think that my 7th pour is better than the first pour. I don't think it is. I think that pour's going 5th, which is sad because I think I know what that is. I think that's the Old Fitz 9, which I just bought another bottle of. So if I don't like it in this blind, that's going to be sad times. So let me make sure it's not worse than my 6th pour in the lineup. Better than that, not even close. That one's got that nice sweetness, but there's just no depth at all. And that pour's got depth. I mean, I prefer this sort of nice, rounded, deeper character on the first pour I tried, and I prefer the berry on what's now 3rd in my lineup, but that 7th in my lineup. I like the mid palate fine, and the finish is very good, but it's just missing something. Yeah, Dickel 15 is often disliked. I've had a couple of Dickel pours I really liked. One that's noteworthy is the Old Carter Batch 6 bourbon is Dickel, and it's super orangey. If Trevor's in the chat, he could tell you that Dickel is so damn orangey. So it's kind of a crazy pour because it tastes legit like it's like an orange curacao finish. Like it's that level of orange. It's really good, though. It's really solid. It's just not what you'd expect from Dickel. All right. Last but certainly not least, let's get into this, number 8. Yeah, I don't know. Nate and Trev are both MIA. My wrenches have failed me. It happens. Oh, let me give you notes on this. This one is kind of odd. I'm almost getting like a new leather on this. This is pretty unique compared to some of these others I've tried. Maybe like grapes, like wine grapes, and leather. A little bit of the classic notes that I've been keep naming again and again, like honeysuckle and red apples, and a little bit of grain. A lot of your super standard qualities in a wheater. That's really nice. What does Rock Hill go for in Indianapolis? You can't find it. I've never, in my time in Indianapolis, ever seen Rock Hill Farms on a shelf. I've seen it in lotteries only like 2 or 3 times, and I've been to a dozen lotteries, at least, maybe 2 dozen. Hard to keep track. Rock Hill is just not available in Indianapolis. I've seen it sell local secondary for a couple of $300. Like, it's just crazy. I think that the best, like, I've seen Rock Hill retail for like $120, but it's just they just don't have it. But that's the price that they put in their on their SKU. I like this one more than I thought I would. It's kind of unique. It's very oaky, but it's not bitter at all. It's the sweet oak, and it's only in the mid palate, not the finish. The finish is like walnut shells and almonds and like raw cinnamon. Very interesting. This is markedly different than anything else I've had in this lineup. Yeah, Yeah, that mid-palate oak is so weird. Sweet grain up front. Very, very classic wheater. But, man, where the fuck am I going to put this? I mean, I think this is going to get up here. Let's compare it to... let's compare it to second place, first off. Akeem the Dream is here. Yeah, boy. What's going on, Akeem? How you doing, man? Man, I might like this one better. I might like this one better than second place. I did not expect that. This is going to be some bullshit. I can already tell you this is going to be some bullshit. I don't know what this last pour is, but it's so damn different than everything else. It's making me deeply question my rankings here. Bruce, if you can see Rock Hill Farms for $89, you buy that all damn day. You call me, you buy that all damn day, and you call me, and I'm getting it from you. Because, yeah, $2.99 for Rock Hill sounds more right than $89. He got the single cask nation in the mail today. Gonna break it out soon. Hell yeah, Akeem. I want to know your thoughts on it, man. We'll share a pour of it or something. This one, though, I like that a lot. Wow, I think it's gonna be second place. It can't beat this one. This has got to be the Old Rip. Yeah, no way. I gotta put that in second place, though. I think a lot of today's ranking has really come down to balance, honestly. Because the things I like from a whiskey typically are, I like that sweet fruity note. If it's like blueberries and strawberries, I'm a sucker for that. But I also like a lot of baking spice, and I like a well-rounded pour. If there's any part of the tasting, the first hit, the mid-palate, or the finish, if any one of those three parts is at all thin, I'm just going to instantly devalue it. Because I want a balanced, consistent pour. And two, it didn't have the most nuanced flavors. It didn't have... it didn't have the most nuanced flavor. It didn't have the most interesting tasting notes, but it's just so well balanced. Okay, I'm going to go through this, and I got a couple of these that are damn near empty. But I'm going to try to go through this. Should I go bottom to top or top to bottom? You tell me. Should I taste this? I want to do a sort of closing ranks, let's figure out what the right order is. Do you think, put it in the chat, should I go best to worst, or should I go worst to best to do this sort of closing of ranks? Bruce is going to call me when he finds me at Rock Hill. We're going to make it happen. Yeah, I'll chuck that gasoline shit. I actually made a video with some gasoline shit. If you're ever curious to see what gasoline tastes like, check out my channel. Somewhere out there you'll see me holding the gas can. And I think that's all you need to know about it, to be honest. Bourbon Baller says top to bottom. Anybody else got any thoughts about that? Should I start with my best pour? Yes, Akeem, this is a wheated blind tasting. I am tasting... I'll give you the list. I am tasting Old Fitzgerald. These are bottled in bond decanters of the 9, the 13, and the 14. I'm tasting 2 different store picks of Larceny. I'm tasting a store pick 107. I'm tasting a Jefferson's Ocean wheated store pick. And I'm tasting Old Rip Van Winkle. All right, I've got 2 top to bottom. I've got 1 worst to best. I've got 2 worst to best. Chris Russell, what's going on, Chris? Yeah, Bourbon Baller, let me know what you can't get out there. Actually, I need to know what you can't get out there for other reasons. So we should have a conversation about what you can't get out in Seattle, because I got to figure that out. And I'll happily do some trades with you. We got 2 of each. Who's gonna be the tiebreaker? Why end with the worst taste in your mouth? That is a great argument, Chris. You can count You can count on the people dealing with law to make a good argument. What's up? What's up, Chris? Come on, I need a tiebreaker. We got 2-2. We're 2-2. Where's my fifth vote? There. Did Bruce Johnson already vote? I don't want any voting twice. I don't want any voter fraud. There's gonna be no voter fraud in my election. We've got a worst to best. That's what we're gonna do. Chris Russell's convincing argument along with Bruce Johnson's tie-breaking vote. Hey, and Yolanda chimed in as well. Worst to best. Let's do it. Okay. Worst to best. We're closing ranks. I've had 8 different wheated mash bill pours. Each one of them's a wheater. They're all bourbons that are wheaters. They're all between 92 proof and 107 proof. Most of them falling at 100 or lower. But we're going to find out which one is the best here in a second. Let's get it to taste. Okay, this is the worst one, according to my first run-through. You know, the great thing about this experiment is this is the worst one. It's not that bad. I think it's actually good. I would say this is a good whiskey. It's got a nice subtle sweetness. It's pretty quiet early on, which is probably why I made it near the bottom. But the finish on this is exquisite. Right off the bat, you get slight grain, slight honey. Not much in the mid-palate, but the finish is beautifully oaky and nutty. It's got a lot going on. The mash bill, what's up? We got Stanley. Says, just checking in. Been a little under the weather. Haven't made any content this week. Gonna try and go live on IG at 8 p.m. Pacific tonight. Hopefully be back next week at 100%. Yeah, it sucks. I hope you feel better, Stanley. Man, that's feeling bad is no fun. I've been there, brother. Hit me up, and we need to get you, me, and Dusty Dan all in the conversation, because I think we should all 3 do some kind of live stream together on YouTube. And Stanley, you are way more, I'll say, you're much more comfortable in the social environment than I am. So if you can make that, if you can remind me at the very least to make that happen, we can make that happen. So get yourself healthy first. That's most important. And then we'll deal with making these fun content videos. Okay, let's go to number 7, see if it's worse or better than number 6. 8. 8, sorry. Let's go to number 7 and compare it to 8. So this is 8. Okay, this is number 7. Seven is very slightly better. Ooh, yeah. Much longer, more complex finish. The baking spices come up. Grains throughout, but the grain flavor is more robust and it's less sharp. So it's a very middle-of-the-road grain. Appreciate it, Stanley. Yeah, this is actually a very... You know, I love doing a tasting where the 7th out of 8 is a very good pour. That means I'm having a good freaking night. Because this is a really good pour. Starts thin. That's why. That's why 7 and 8 both are thin early. They open up in the mid-palate. You get some of that graininess, you get some sweetness. And then they finish with this beautiful, soft oak, soft nuttiness. The honey remains throughout, so you get the sweetness as well. It's not just astringency. Oh yeah. Chris Russell, I owe you a list of a couple of bourbons that are available that I think you'd really enjoy. I am doing a poor job of keeping track of all my deliverables. That's why I asked Stanley to get on my ass. So Chris, you should get on my ass too. I know what I'm supposed to do, Yolanda. She's in the chat trying to tell me how to run my stream. I know what I'm doing, kind of. She thinks I'm failing. That's fine. That's fine. Some of the bottles, I'm not failing because some of the bottles I've got are fancy and some are not. And we're going to find out once I'm done with this if they're fancy or not. Anyway, Chris Russell, shoot me another email. Light a fire under my ass because I owe you some good deliverables. So let's make it happen. All right, so number 6. That's going to be hard to rank. Let's see if I can get anything out of that. All right, now let's do 2 drops of this. I'm going to make a very bold move on this, and actually, with that 1 drop tasting, move that one down below. Let me do a 1 drop tasting of this too. Yeah. I'm going to move that one to the 7 spot. Let's try this other 1 drop tasting. This is stupid. No, that belongs above. That definitely belongs above that. And why, you ask? Because it's got that fruity start. And what I remember about these pours, the 2 that were empty, is I thought they were relatively balanced. Maybe not as complex as I wanted. I remember specifically that one that I've now dropped further had no mid-palate at all. And I think that the start on the pour that's now in 6th place, I preferred to the start that I remembered from my first pour. Pour 5 out of 8 here in my lineup, though. It's got that fruitiness, then nothing mid-palate, and then the really nice finish that is going to keep it in place, even though I've got basically nothing left of it. Chris sent me a text. I got you. I got you, man. This is, we're comparing this number 4 to number 5 that I just tried a nip of. Oh, yeah. Okay. Just for comparison's sake, we'll do 4 and 6 here, because 5 is gone. Oh, not even close. Not even close. It is so obviously better than number 6. Why do you ask? Let me tell you. First off, number 4 has that nice fruity sweetness that I just love. I'm just a sucker for it. Number 2, there's a weird aftertaste on the 6th pour. It's rounded, but it's got a sour bitterness. It almost tastes like something spoiled. But it's quiet, it's subtle. It feels like they had a negative taste in the barrel blend, and instead of trying to fix it, they just watered that shit down. I don't feel that way at all with 4. There's nothing unpleasant in 4. It may not be the most pleasant, or the most expressive, or the most nuanced, or the most detailed pour I've ever had, but it's all good. There are no bad flavors. There are bad flavors in 6 and 7 and 8 and 5 for that matter. All those have something bad in them. Some of them are smaller than others, but if there's nothing bad, it's just not great. That puts you in the middle of a tasting for sure. Yep. All right, number 3. Let's try number 3 again. See if I should close the ranks more or not. That is tricky because number 3 is by far the most balanced pour I've tried thus far. But it is pretty firmly in the sweet oak category of flavors, which is not my favorite category. I typically go towards fruity or baking spice, and this isn't really either of those. Bourbon Baller makes a good point. You can tell some quality components based on the legs of a bourbon. If you swirl it around and you see it really lingers, that oiliness is a good demarcation of a lot of components being pulled out of the oak. Although I will say, it's not always a perfect measure because I've had a lot of old whiskeys that have tons of legs because they've just had all the water evaporate out of them. So they are oily as olive oil, but they can be over oaked or they aren't well balanced or something goes wrong with them. I think as a general rule of thumb, I totally agree with you, Bourbon Baller, but it's not a perfect rule by any means. That's tricky, man. That's tricky because 3 is the most balanced I've tasted so far by a long shot. But man, number 4 had that beautiful fruitiness. Number 4's got to be fucking Weller. It's got to be a Buffalo Trace product, which I'm always a sucker for. All these glasses are going to be killed by the time I'm done with this. I'm switching it. I'm going to switch it. 3 is a more balanced pour than 4, but 4 had a lot more of the notes I tend to pick out, and I can't ignore my personal preference here. I think if you hand it to 1,000 different whiskey drinkers, more than half are going to pick what I have now put below the other. I'm going to be in the minority in terms of just everybody that tries this, but I can't ignore my personal preference. I really like the fruity flavors. I don't mind a relatively quiet mid-palate if it's got good fruitiness up front and then a nice baking spice oakiness in the back, which is what I'm getting out of what's my now number 3 pour. 4 is more balanced, but it doesn't have as much fun. Sometimes the highs and lows are more fun. All right. Number 2 is also on its last leg here. Let's give that a taste. Oh, shit. That does not belong at number 2 at all. What was I doing? No. This is going to be a problem child here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try what was 6. Well, it's better than that, but not by much. There's no way. These are almost empty. Son of a bitch. I should have poured more. I'm going to do a tie because I don't have anything left from my sample number 5. I'm going to say that what was 2 and 5 are now tied in 4th. And number 1, what I believe to be Old Rip Van Winkle. Oh. It is so much meaningfully better than everything else in this lineup. There's a lot of people out there that hate on the Van Winkle products. I get it. You know, on paper, this is a $70 whiskey that's selling for $650 on the secondary market. But when you put it up against a lineup, including whiskeys that sell for $100, $200, $300, and it crushes them, and I mean crushes them, you can't ignore that. You just can't. If number 1 is not Old Rip Van Winkle, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be so beside myself. I will be dumbfounded and flabbergasted. It just has to be. There's no way this is an Old Rip. Yeah, Bruce just had a hell of an experience with the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof, beating out his Stag Junior Batch 14. Stag Junior Batch 14, by the way, was not one of my favorite batches. If you can get Batch 15, get your hands on it because I did a review of it. You can check it out on the channel. That was freaking amazing. Stag Junior Batch 15 is amazing. Batch 14 was good, but not amazing. All right. Enough of this tension. Mostly for me. You guys don't give a shit, but I'm gonna go ahead and reveal these pours because I want to know if that is in fact Rip Van Winkle. Because if it's not, I'm gonna have a total conniption fit live on the air on YouTube. My last place pour. What the fuck? That's not a number. What the fuck is that? That's not a number. Is that a 7? I guess. Was I drunk when I made these numbers? I'm going to assume it's a 7. And 7 is the Larceny store pick. It's not making it clear. It's the Crown Liquors Larry pick. I basically just bought this one because my dad's name is Larry, and I shared a pour with him. It's fine, but it's nothing special. Yeah, Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof is a legit product for sure. Okay. Oh, man. Guys, this one hurts. I'm going to need to finish this Larry pour to tell you this next one. What's up? Henry's in the chat. He said, bro, you've had those glasses for a while. Time for a new RX. Man, I got a story about this. So, I went to the eye doctor. I did need a new prescription. I went to the eye doctor. I got a new prescription. I got the glasses. I tried them out, and they were bad. Something was wrong. It was so, it was, I could feel that something was wrong. I've been wearing glasses since I was 5 years old. I can tell when the glasses are not the right prescription. I set an appointment with a different optometrist. Part of the reason I'd gone to my original doctor was I thought they were ophthalmologists, which is an MD, because I have something called a retinal schisis, blah, 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 blah. We won't get into that. But the doctor I went to get this first prescription was because I thought they were experts and they were MDs, and they were not either of those fucking things, because when I went to the doctor I had seen in the past, he got me a prescription that was very different from the prescription these new guys got, who aren't medical doctors and should go fuck themselves. And so I've got a new prescription on the way. So shout out Henry. Now, it's these exact same fucking frames. So you might not notice very much. I mean, you might see slightly, like, I don't know. You can't really tell on camera. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you guys can see, like, there is some wear and tear on these. But without these, I'm blind without these. I mean, you can see how blind I am without these glasses. So, Henry didn't know he was hitting this hot button issue. But, yeah, I mean, I got some new frames coming. They're just the same ones because I like this blue frame. But I got a new prescription on the way. Yeah, bad eyes definitely suck for sure, Henry. But number 7 is my number 1 pour. This one hurts. It hurts me kind of a lot. My number 7 of 8, Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond 9-year. Now, if you want to know why this one hurts, because I bought another bottle of it. I bought this one off of Trev. I bought a whole other bottle off of Miranda. I didn't pay secondary, but given that it was losing to other $30 or $40 pours, I paid way too much for it. Chris says, at least it's not Bridezilla chat tonight. Yeah, we like to keep it fresh and mix it up, Chris. All right, what was... Eric's been trying to track the 9 down. Well, if you want a pour of it, hit me up, man. We can make that work. Actually, I'll tell you what. Putting it 7th out of 8th in this lineup makes me want to sell the 9 that I've got unopened. So, hit me up. All right, this is number 7. 4. Oh, okay. So... Smooth fruit. Oh, it focused. This is the, I think it's Big Red. But it says WHK. I don't know. I don't know whose pick this is. It's a larceny pick. But that is a bad sign. When my Old Fitzgerald 9-year decanter fits between two store picks of larceny. We may need to revisit that after I go through the whole lineup, just to do it. We may have to revisit that. All right, we got a tie for 4th place between 6 and 3. Interesting. So we got a tie between Old Fitzgerald 14 and the Jefferson's Ocean 19 Voyage Crown Liquors Wheat Edition. Very interesting. Very interesting. That might be another one we have to revisit. You know, I don't know how long I'm going to be on this stream, but if you guys keep... I mean, we got 12 people on here now. We had more... When I was doing this tasting, we had 5. So we got more people now than I had before. I might just keep going. Because I got a couple things I want to revisit. I got a couple questions that need answers. And y'all can join me for that. Right. Now, those were tied for 4. Let's go to 3 here. 3 is the one I don't have a bottle of. I got a sample of it. The Old Fitzgerald 13. That was my number 3, which is very interesting because I would have said that was my least favorite in the past. So, very interesting. Eric says he's heard the 11 is the best version of the OF. You know, Eric, I've had a lot of OFs. I've tasted the 9, the 14, the 13, the 15, and the 16. I don't think I've tried the 11. Akeem says, yeah, larceny store picks. Some of them are all right. I mean, it's not bad. It's just the smooth fruit I really liked. I mean, I put it above a fucking $100 bottle. So, so the Billy Ocean is good. Akeem says, I mean, this particular pick turned out pretty well. Henry says 15 was the best. Henry, I know you can do this. We're gonna, do you have a bottle of Old Fitz 15? Because if you do, I will bring all of the Old Fitz that I've got, and we will do a blind tasting, because there is no way in hell the Old Fitz 15 is the best. No fucking way. I will blind that with you in your house, because I don't believe it. There's no fucking way. I was very unimpressed with the 15, so I'm fiery about this one. And I know Henry is down. I know Henry's down to do this tasting, so let's make that shit happen, man. Shoot me a message. We'll find a date. All right, what's going on? Henry's got me all fired up now. Yeah, the 20, but yeah, there's no way. We're not paying $5,000. Bourbon Baller, no way. All right, what am I on? Number 2? Number 2 is 5. I am very, very, very surprised by this. Number 2 is my Weller Antique 107, the Big Red Liquors store pick. My 15 lost to Rebel Yell 10 in a blind. I may bring my Rebel 10 Rural End store pick just to fuck with Henry a little bit. But this one really surprises me because I did not like this pick. I genuinely didn't. I thought it was fine. I think that's what I should say. You know, I've had a couple of... I haven't had a ton of them, but I've had a couple of different Weller store picks, Antique 107. And this is something that Ray from the Rural Inn has said, and I got to agree with him. He said he has never had an amazing Weller store pick. I have to agree. I have never had an amazing Weller store pick. I've had some pretty good ones, but of all the Antique 107s that I've tried, which again, I'll be the first to admit, is not a lot of them, but all of the Antique 107 store picks I've had have been just okay, and I still really find a lot of joy in the standard Weller Antique 107. So if I were to do this again, I would probably include a standard Weller Antique 107 just to see how it stood up to the store pick and to some of these other weeders. I'm stuck. And you know what that means. I'm not crazy. I'm not stupid. The first pick is Old Rip Van Winkle. 10 years. Boom. It had to win. It had to win. It couldn't not win. Like I said, if it didn't win, I was gonna just lose my shit because there was no way. It's so fantastic. Like I said, I've had the Weeders. Chris Russell, you're welcome from those of us who encourage you to end with the old rip. Cheers, Chris. Appreciate it, my man. Akeem says the Big Red Foolproof Weller is the best I've had for store picks. Which barrel? Let me know the barrel, Akeem, because I've got one back there, right there. That's the golden neck right there. It's hard to do this backwards. That's the gold neck. And if it's the barrel I've got, I'll pour it right now and we'll try it compared to some of these others. Yeah, man, Old Rip Van Winkle's so damn good. This is I won this in a raffle this year, but it's not a 2020. Let me see if I can't find the code on it. Here we go. This is a 2018 Old Rip Van Winkle. You can tell by the laser code. It's, and part of this is that I'm a sucker for a berry forward profile. I love the blueberry, strawberry notes. Those just get me every time. They get me in coffee too, I've discovered. I love the Ethiopian coffees because a lot of them have a super blueberry, strawberry note. I didn't know you could get that in a coffee. So when I found that in a coffee, I'm like, this is what I want. But I've always wanted that out of bourbon. And the Old Rip 10 really delivers that. The Old Rip, the 12-year Lot B was lower proof, and I didn't get as much out of it. It just really wasn't for me. The Pappy Van Winkle 15 was a lot more balanced, but in my memory, it wasn't as fruity. Now, it's been a long time, and I didn't have very much of the pour when I tried it. So I'd love to revisit that. And in fact, I will. In the near future, I'm going to be doing a lineup of every single Van Winkle bourbon side by side. Probably for my birthday this year, to be honest. March 27th, I'm turning 31. Happy birthday. And I'll probably do the whole Van Winkle line for that. Dusty Dan has to hit me back, though. He's got my Pappy Van Winkle 23 year. So we got to make that work. But, yeah. I got all the time in the world, Akeem Dreams. So let me know when you find that Weller, and we'll make it happen. Bourbon Baller says youngster. Yeah, I mean I'm pretty young for doing this. There's a lot of people out in the bourbon world that are a lot older than me, and it takes some gall to call yourself the drink pro when you're 30-year-old. But to me, professionalism is a mindset. And I've always felt like treating something like you're a professional, it's sort of twofold. First off, it's digging deep and finding out as much as you can about any one thing. But second, it's also about admitting when you don't know something and then finding experts and listening to them. There's an element of professionality that is understanding what you don't know and wanting to find out more. Akeem's got it. Akeem's got it. All right. All right. I was on my diatribe about being a professional, but oh yeah, that's great. I love watching my replay. You can see my bare lower back skin. I need to get this shirt a little bit longer, my pants a little bit higher. Glad you couldn't see my ass, frankly. But it is, absolutely. Bourbon Baller points it out right. You know, it's the research and the development and putting your energy and your time into these things really makes a difference. Now, I don't know if this is going to focus well. Let me turn this light a little bit here. See if that doesn't help. You can see, there it goes. You can see it says Warehouse I, Floor 6, Barrel 148. This is the one. Akeem, get your glass ready, my brother. Pour that shit out, because we're going to drink this one together. Oh, that's a good sound, too. Let me get that one more. It's quiet, but it's good. It's quiet, but good. Okay. Got a clean glass. This one is not one of my own, but you should go buy these on my website, thedrinkpro.com. Go buy them. So, this is a tricky one because every pour I've had thus far has been a maximum of 107. And this pour, the Weller Full Proof, is 114. And you've got to not let that influence your palate. And this is something that people fuck up all the time. And, you know, I say fuck up, but, like, really, if you like what you like, then drink it. Like, it doesn't really matter. If you just want higher proof whiskey, go be a proof hound and go get the high proof stuff. But to me, I care about the flavors more than the proof. And if there are concentrated flavors in a high proof whiskey, but there's a lot of burn, and the overall drinking experience isn't as pleasant, then I'm not going to prefer it. My palate isn't dead. My sinuses aren't dead. Even though I got one bad one, my sinuses aren't that dead. If it's not a balanced pour, then I'll tell. I can tell it. Anyway. Bourbon Baller says it's tough to teach yourself about bourbon. I went to school for it, and there's a lot I don't know. Always changing, never the same. Yeah. Bourbon Baller, you're totally right, man. Like, there's so much that's constantly changing, especially right now. We are in a golden era of bourbon evolution because there are so many things that are being done differently and in unique ways and with unique finishes. I've never heard of bourbon being so unique and complex. Matter of fact, that was always sort of a knock against bourbon, is that it was just too simplistic. It was kind of one-noted. It wasn't, like, interesting or unique in a lot of ways. I'm in some whiskey groups that still kind of shit on bourbon because they like the complexity and the variety of flavor profiles that you get from pot still distilling and from Scotch whiskey and from adding peat and from all these other processes. But those are not remaining exclusively outside of the bourbon world anymore. You are seeing bourbons that are finished. One of my favorite examples is the Bardstown Bourbon Company, which I hope to do something with eventually. I've had a hard time getting a hold of their reps, but I've got a lot of good whiskeys from Bardstown Bourbon, and so I'm hoping to do some sort of tasting video with those guys. But they do a lot of fun finishes, and not just like crazy things that really work. That's got to be a focus. All right, I'm gonna get off my soapbox for a minute. Let's go ahead and taste this Weller Full Proof. Man, that is so fruity, though. And I love that fruitiness. I love it. Now, as you guys saw, this bottle is, I mean, I wouldn't call that half empty, but it's close. Pretty close to half empty. So it's really had a chance to fully open up. Ooh, okay. Akeem's giving me tasting notes now. Here we go. Here we go. Let's fucking go. Mild oak, sign of youth, question mark. Corn, tad ethanol sweetness, kind of lighter Tootsie Roll. Does that exist? I totally see what you're talking about with that light Tootsie Roll. It's so Tootsie Roll did a series of non-chocolate rolls. They did like fruity rolls that were still Tootsie Roll brand. I kind of get that on this nose. There is a chocolate component, but it's very backseat. But that sort of like creamy sweetness that's almost waxy that you get from the Tootsie Roll, that's definitely on this pour. That's a great note, Akeem. There is a tad of ethanol. I'm deep in the game. He's adjusting the water. I might be too deep in the game, Akeem. I might need some floaties. I might need a pool noodle pretty soon. Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, man. The berries on this are great. Hold on. I'm going to put this up next to the 107, which is not a fair comparison, but it'll give me a side-by-side, because everything else is fucking empty. I crushed all the rest of these samples. Oh. Okay. We're learning, guys. We're learning. Okay, so the higher proof definitely shows up on the Weller Full Proof compared to the 107 Old Rip. The fruitiness, though, is a different sort. So, to me, the Old Rip is like sweet caramel and strawberries. And blueberries, probably. Yeah. It's caramel and then blueberries with like sugar sprinkled on top and strawberries, like you're making a cake. If you've ever made like strawberries and ice cream with like a biscuit or with one of those sponge cakes, that kind of smell. There's so much more lemon and citrus on the the Full Proof, the 114, which Akeem mentions in the chat. I'm definitely getting that. I get green apple. I get lemon. He's already taking a drink. He's going. You're passing me by, Akeem. That's fine. Oh, the nose on this though. There's like a All right, let's go ahead and pour some of this 107 out again. Now this is the Weller 107 Big Red Store Pick, Warehouse N, Floor 5. But you're gonna know this because it's from the Bourbon Expo, a 2019 from Big Red. By the way, I didn't get a chance to win that. Like, I dumb lucked it. People were having so much trouble. The 2019 Bourbon Expo for Big Red Liquors was all online. And it was the first one they did all online. And it was a total catastrophe. They had so many problems with it. Nobody got what they ordered. It was a total mess. Well, I snuck in about 4 hours after people had been fighting on this and dealing with the bullshit with the computers. Was able to get right in and buy a bottle. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll try. It worked. So, I don't know what the moral of that story is. I got fucking lucky, I think. But, but you know, it's good to note. But this one I remember being a lot more oaky. Yeah, see, there's just no fruitiness on this. It's caramel, it's honey, it's vanilla. That's it on the nose. Akeem's got to catch up, man. That's all right, buddy. You got all night, my man. Yeah. More fruity, more oaky. Okay, let's go ahead and taste this Full Proof. Woo! Definitely Full Proof. I'm going to need a couple sips of that because I just get too much alcohol in the first sip. You know, it's not that big of a step up with these 107s, but it does seem quite a bit hotter. You know, we're moving up 3.5% alcohol, so not that much, but this one is meaningfully hotter than the Weller 107 from the Big Red 2019 Expo or the 2018 Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year. Both of those are meaningfully less hot at 107 proof. Oh, I'm squeaking this chair so much. Here we go. Now we're getting into it. Okay. Man, that is so citrusy. I wish more of the fruitiness showed up. More of the berries showed up. There was a lot of berries on the nose on this, and they just don't really show up in the palate. Oh, and before I even take that next sip, the finish on this, the oakiness is really prominent. It's not, I wouldn't call it a sweet oak. I'm not sure I'd call it a bitter oak either. I don't really know what I would call it. Well, let's take a third sip. Third sip is the best. Here we go. All right, I gotta do a fourth sip because all I got on that one was the pepper on the finish. Okay, here we go. Let's get focused. All right. Up front, definitely getting like lemon zest. I get that orange note that Akeem mentioned in the chat. Definitely some of that sweetness. I get more like honey and straight grain. Like granulized sugar. I don't get a lot of the burnt sugar caramel, but it's definitely still bourbon world for sure. Orchard fruit. I want you to expand on that note, Akeem. He said orchard fruit and orange. What are orchard fruits? Name some fruits. Let's. I'm gonna push you a little bit here. I'm gonna push you a little deeper here. And once you get, see, now, fifth nip, I've taken 5 sips of this. The 5th sip of this, I could tell in the mid-palate, there was a nuttiness. It was quick. It was here and gone. But it was like a pecan nuttiness. And then it kind of went, it was here, it was gone. And when it left, I got like a slight cinnamon. And then the honey sweetness came back. And then the pepper shows up. Let's jump in on that 107 again. There you go. Yeah, apple peach nectarine. I don't get much peach from this 114, the full-proof Weller. But I definitely get the apple and the nectarine. Going back to that 107, though, the berries really showed up. I can sort of see why I liked it so much. It's got a lot more oak for me than the standard 107, but Weller 107 and Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year, which are both 107 proof, older, they're basically both the same kind of thing. I mean, I know that like the Old Rip is like the best of the best. That's basically how they're doing it. They're picking the best of the best and they're putting it in the Old Rip family. But they're all 107, Weller wheated Buffalo Trace product. This this Weller is really good. Okay, let's go back to that full proof. I can see apricots, bourbon baller. I get apricots from at the transition point between the initial tasting and the mid palate. There's apricots for sure. I have a hard time finding peaches only because I feel like they're getting masked by the nuttiness and the oakiness. Peaches are a hard to find subtle flavor, so there may be some peaches in there, there may not be, but I'm just having a hard time pulling it out. I do get some pear notes. What he usually describes from a standard space side. Interesting. I haven't had Spice Tree in a minute, but yeah, Spice Tree is really, really good. If you want to try some fantastic Scotch at not a crazy price point, Compass Box makes a variety of really good pours, and Spice Tree from Compass Box is just fantastic. All right. God, you know what? I really got to revisit this. I really got to revisit this 9-year. I bought another bottle of this, and I ranked it 7th out of 8. And I don't mind putting it below the Old Rip or even the Old Fitz 14-year. It's more expensive. But I had a blind tasting of this, the 14 and the 13 in the past, and I picked this as the best. And now I'm putting it below a fucking $35 bottle. So I got to figure out what the hell's going on here. That's a little better. These bottles are a lot of fun, but it's so weird to me that they have this glass piece with a cork attached to it. That's so weird to me. Like, these are glass. Why is there cork on it? Why is there plastic and cork on it? I don't like it. Okay. Yeah, I think don't be a Heaven Hill hater. I think Heaven Hill is they've got a lot of good stuff. Yeah, and that was kind of the whole point of this stream, Akeem, was to see if Heaven Hill was mostly hype or mostly not. It's kind of a mixed bag, you know, because the Heaven Hill 13-year got my 3rd place spot. The 14-year got tied for 4th. I mean, it fit right in there alongside. Now the Buffalo Trace both. I had 2 Buffalo Trace pours in here, and they both were 1 and 2. So Buffalo Trace won the night. But there's not a lot of Buffalo Trace weeders that are, you know, lower level. Like I guess I could have thrown like a, you know, Weller Special Reserve in here, but I didn't because I don't have one open. But yeah, I mean that I'm not. I don't think it's smart to hate on any of these distilleries. They all should be good. Which release, Bourbon Baller from Parker's, is your favorite? Because there's a lot of different Parker's releases. Akeem is breaking out some serious Heaven Hill hitters. Is this the one, Akeem, that you're breaking out right now? This motherfucker? See, I really like that when it's not side by side and when I know what it is. Like, and that's such a problem to me. Like, okay, let's go ahead and pour a little bit of this Weller 14 just as a side by side, because like I said, when I first did the blind, I preferred the Old Fitz 9 to the 13 and the 14. But now I put the Old Fitz 9 below this fucking Larceny store pick. Like, what's going on? Yeah, see, when I know what it is, and some of this could be the order I tasted them. That's another component of this blind thing that I'm not accounting for, is when you taste things in a certain order, you're going to be inclined to put them in different places in a tasting. Double blind tastings are not really ideal. What you really want is a single blind tasting, meaning the person who established the tasting knows the order, and they put them in a specific order to give you a specific experience, and then you do the blind. So if I was going to do that for these pours, the first two would be the larceny picks. Then we move up to the Ocean, the Jefferson's Ocean. Then we go to the 100 proofers. Then we go to the 107s. That's the ideal order in my mind to get the most out of these pours. I'm not going to do all of those again right now because I've already had a lot of pours, and doing 8 more seems reckless. But I do think that double blinding, or maybe another way to put it is totally blinding your whiskey tasting, is not always the best because order matters. What you've tasted just a moment before matters, and it will affect how you feel about what you're tasting right now. After going through this whole line and knowing what I'm tasting and knowing I'm drinking the Old Fitz 9, I like it a lot more. And that's because the grain notes aren't as bothersome. I like that sweet, honeyed grain at the beginning. Chris Russell says, personal day tomorrow. I'll be there, man. I've got... I'm actually coming in the office tomorrow, so if you see me, say hey and see how I'm feeling. Yeah, I mean, you gotta do it. You gotta keep going for the people. I do it for the people. I do it for you. Thank you for being here. You're the reason I'm still drinking these pours, because I gotta work tomorrow, but I don't care. Chris might care. Chris might come over to me and be like, "What are you doing, Kyle? What the fuck's wrong with you?" I still got it. I'm still going. Oh, man. This Old Fitz, though, it's really a quandary. I'm going to go back to this Old Fitz 14-year decanter. This is the one I actually won in a lottery. Shout out to Vine and Table. They've got a weekly lottery. If you go up to Vine and Table Monday through Friday, you can put your name in and enter. This is in Carmel, Indiana. You can put your name in and enter for a chance to win some of the week's bottles. They've got some really cool ones. They've got some that are just all right. But, the cool thing about their system is that they do everything through a lotto. I really appreciate that. And, I won once. I probably won't win again for a while, but I like that they do it that way. That's the right way to distribute bottles. So, shout out to Vine and Table for that. I like Joseph. I like his systems. Chris says only if you're not sharing. I got you, buddy. I got you. I'll see you tomorrow. How about that? Are you going to be there? Tell you what, Chris, you better get your ass to work tomorrow because I'll have something for you. How about that? All right. This 14. It's... Oh, that one. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. It went up my nose. Oh. Oh, God. Oh. I had some flavor notes, but I've forgotten them. Oh. So, if you don't know, I will educate people who aren't aware. Alcohol is not supposed to go up your nose. Ugh. Oh, that's not right. That's not what it's supposed to happen. Oh. Well, I guess they have to have more, right? Although Akeem over here, tasting the single cask. You're right. Akeem says the single cask is not your average beast. There's some different shit happening. Akeem, you are totally right. And as much as I want to try that along with you, I'm not going to, and here's why. Because on my Patreon, I have a full review of the Single Cask Nation. That pour right there. It's the one Akeem's tasting right now. It's a 24-year-old undisclosed distillery. It's Heaven Hill. And It was half of its life aged in Kentucky, half of its life aged in Scotland. An amazing, interesting, unique pour. Delicious. He's absolutely right that it's some different shit happening. But I want you guys to join my Patreon to see it. It's $3 a month. I know you can afford $3 a month. So patreon.com/thedrinkpro. It's right here. See it ticking along the bottom of the screen? Go there and join. For $3 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee, man. That's nothing. That's nothing. A month, $3? Nothing. You can go check out my review of the Single Cask Nation 24-year-old bourbon from Heaven Hill, even though they won't say that's where it's from. And there's a bunch of other exclusive content up there that's only available to patrons. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, I appreciate that, Akeem. You definitely should join, man. There's a lot of cool stuff in the Patreon. And it's not just reviews. You know, I've got some, like... I said Skrills. I'm a 90s rapper. There's a lot of cool stuff up there, legit. Like, I legitimately try to give my Patreon members value for their money. Like, if Nate was here doing his job as a fucking wrench, he would tell you how much value there is in the $12 level, because there's a sample tasting. I sent out some legit fucking samples to the sample tasting members at the $12 level. If you were at the $12 level for the last 3 months, I sent out $30 worth of samples. For real, $30 worth of samples to my patrons that are at the $12 level. They've just received them very recently. We're going to do a tasting, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after. And you know, that's going to be available for all of the patrons on the replay video, as well as the Zoom call for this tasting. But like, I mean, I sent them out some shit I probably shouldn't have been sending them. So it's good value, man. I can't stress that enough. The Patreon's a good value. Enough of me yammering on. I want to get back to this 14 that I inhaled into my sinuses previously. Wow, man. Definitely going with some old school shit. I do love Skrills, Akeem. That's fucking great, man. Yeah. Hey, and Akeem, if you've got any questions about the Patreon, shoot me a message. Facebook, Instagram, email thedrinkpro@gmail.com, wherever. I'm happy to discuss what the benefits mean. Some of them are less obvious than others. And part of that is because Patreon has some restrictions about what you can and can't do. So, for example, the opportunities to get bottles, that is something I can't fully explain either here or on Patreon, but I can talk to you about in a private message. So if you've got any questions, hit me up. And that goes for any of you, not just Akeem. If you've got any questions about the Patreon or about anything that I do, reach out to me. I'd love to talk about it. I know Chris already sent me a text, so he's going to get some information and maybe something special tomorrow if he shows up at the office. I got incentives for you, brother. I got incentives. Hey, man, there's no shame. There is no shame in a wild turkey rut. There you go. There you go, Akeem. Chris Russell's in a wild turkey rut. That's a good rut to be in. Yeah, that's right. Bourbon Baller's 100% right. That is solid shit. Kentucky Spirit's really good. Russell's Reserve picks are very good. I might have a couple of pours for you now. We're gonna have some clandestine shit going on, Chris. I got a plan though. I got a plan. Just make sure your ass is at the office tomorrow, because I got something for you. For real now. For real now. For real. Okay. Oh, hear those cracks? I shouldn't be like cocking my head all sideways and talking to this microphone. It's not good for me. Okay. Oh, the smell in this is so good, though. Hold on, let me smell that 9 again. Yeah. Yeah, that 9 is, I probably shouldn't have bought that other 9. I don't, I did a blind with the 13, the 14, and the 9, Old Fitz, all 3 decanters, and the 9 was my favorite. But doing it right now, not blind, and I want to like the 9 because I got a whole bottle of it unopened right there, just off screen. Oh, wait a minute, though. So, okay, now we're getting into it. So the 14... Yeah, Chris Russell. If it's Russell's, it has to be good. Of course. It's got your name on it, literally. Nobody's making Kyle's bourbon, thank God. All right, now we're in it. So, this is why I picked the 9 last time. I got it now. This 14, a lot of caramel, a lot of oak, rounded, robust on the nose. It's got a lot of big, brassy flavors, at least on the nose. But the 9 is thinner, but it's got that sweet berry note. The berries show up in a way that they don't on the later pours because the older whiskey is getting more influence from the oak, which is bringing in more of the caramel and bringing in more of the tannins. So the light grain component on this 9-year is still prominent enough that you're getting some of the grain and you're also getting some of that berry, which is always a note I'm a sucker for. This is, okay. The fact that this is all starting to make sense is very helpful. Let's taste them both like back to back. They're both 100 proof, so they should basically be the same. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's the 9-year. Grainy. It's got berries, but it's very grain forward. All right, let's try the 14. Ooh, more berries show up on the palate. You know, Bourbon Baller, I actually did have an opportunity to make my own bourbon. I probably still do, to be honest. To avoid problems, I won't disclose with whom, but someone reached out to me and said they'd put my face on a bourbon label, but they were going to do it with pretty young MGP. And young MGP has never been my jam. And so I was really torn about it because I was like, that'd be really cool to have my own whiskey label. But, you know, young MGP just isn't my jam. And so I ended up not doing it. I would like to do a store pick, or private selection first. I think I could get a barrel of New Riff. I could get a barrel of, honestly, with the number of people that are fans of mine that are not in Indiana, I think it would be really cool to do a barrel pick from Starlight, because Starlight makes some amazing whiskeys, and a lot of people outside of the state can't get their hands on Starlight. So, that's been something I've been really thinking about for sure. You're absolutely right, Bourbon Baller. You got to start somewhere, but you also have to think about your own brand. And for me, my brand has been focused on making quality pours, like making things that people really like. I only make products that I believe in, and I only offer my reviews if I'm honest about them. And so I have a really hard time pushing a whiskey if I don't really genuinely like it. And I know I can get that from Starlight, and I know I can get that from New Riff. I'm not so sure I can get that from 4-year MGP, because it's generally not my jam. I probably should reach back out to Matt is his name. I should probably reach back out to Matt about that, about that endeavor, and just, say, hey, can I come down and taste 5 or 6 of these? And if I find one I really like, then I'll put my name and face on it. But, it's always a struggle. Absolutely. Starlight is legit, Hakeem. Hakeem, you're totally right. Henry says, OH, question mark. I don't know what he's trying to say there. Chris Russell gives me a +1 in this. What this is the symbol. Let me do this. This is the symbol that's showing up when Chris is doing something. Maybe it's like, yeah, I don't know. Bourbon Baller says, ask for older MGP tenure. They can say no. Well, so it's being done secondhand through somebody who's buying MGP barrels, and I can pretty much guarantee they're going to say no to 10-year MGP. If they can get, I mean, honestly, I've had good fight. Like, Smooth Ambler has done some releases of good 5-year MGP. So, like, I know there's some good. Means the post above me. I got you, Chris. You know, I know there's 5-year MGP out there that I like, but it's, and maybe that's what I need to do. I just need to talk to I just got to talk to Matt and say, hey, Matt, I want to come down and taste something. And before I commit to buying a barrel or to putting my face on a bottle, let me taste it. Henry says, 2-year MGP, thought that was what you were hinting at passing on. No, it's not what I was hinting at. Old Hamer is not the thing. And Henry, when we do this Old Fitz tasting so I can prove you wrong, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I've actually had, and you know, that's the thing, is like, it's so barrel specific because I have had an Old Hamer. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this right now, exclusive. When I was a part of the Naptown Bourbon Club pick here in Indianapolis, the Naptown Bourbon Club, which is a charity organization that give all their money to charity, they did a pick of Old Hamer. And everyone in that room except me picked one of the barrels we tried as the right barrel, as the winner. And I picked a different one. And after they all picked that one, I said, fine, go with that. That was my second choice. That's fine. After that, though, both of the people at that event who were working with the West Fork, which is the distillery that does Old Hamer, they both said, hey, you picked the right barrel. Those guys, that's all they do. That's all they do is taste whiskey. So I stand by the fact that I was right and they were wrong. And that's fine. I mean, they didn't pick a bad barrel. Don't get me wrong. I thought their barrel they picked was good. It was fine. But I seriously considered buying that barrel right on the spot. I didn't because I don't have $5,000 sitting in the bank to buy it. But there is some good young MGP out there. It would just require me to go down to this distillery and let them. This is what it comes down to them. They need to let me, kid in a candy store style, sort through all their barrels and just rustle around and find something I actually genuinely like. And I don't know if they're willing to do that. But it's on me for not pushing them. I should be pushing them. I should say, hey, let me come down there and find this. Let them say no. Bourbon Baller said, just saying I'd buy a case if it had your face on it, support the brand. Well, I appreciate that, Bourbon Baller, and maybe I can make that happen. Oh man, there's so much happening. So much going on in the chat. You know what I really want to do? I really want to pour out some more of this because I'm actually surprised about the placement of this. I hated this when I first bought it. This is Jefferson Ocean Aged at Sea Voyage 19 Special Wheated Recipe, the Crown Liquors Pick Batch A56 bottle number 27. Lots of words, lots of words. No, I don't know exactly how these picks work because it's obviously on Voyage 19. And it doesn't say single barrel, and it doesn't give a barrel number. It gives a batch number. But this finished 4th out of 8 in my lineup. And you know, on the palate, if you just asked me right, you know, straight up, I would have said this is going to be 6th. Yeah, that's so different than anything else in this lineup. It's so much more I mean, I would love to be blowing up the bourbon community, Bourbon Baller. That'd be awesome. But like I said, I'm not particularly good at self promotion, and that just fucking kills me, man. That just kills me every time. I love drinking. I love talking about drinking. I love giving people shit and having fun and having a good time. But there's a self promotion component. There's an attaching yourself to bigger and better channels component of YouTube in particular that is just very unnatural for me. And I love the people on some of these big channels. You know, I don't want to name any names. There are a couple of big channels that I don't enjoy. Flat out, I don't. But there are a couple of big channels that I really, really do enjoy. And I like those people, but like pushing myself to like stay on them so that I can get on their live streams. Just, I am bad about doing that. It just feels like a chore. It feels like I'm using my friends, and I don't want to do it. And it's just like, you know, if I was riding Jason's ass, this is an example. Jason at the Mash and Drum, good guy, but he pushes a lot of channels. He is a big friend of a lot of Whiskey Tube, and if I wanted to get on his live stream, I'd have to push and push and push and push. And it's very unnatural for me to do that. So the blind tasting that I sent him stays on his shelf because other people are pushing harder. And I don't fault him for that. I don't feel bad about him, you know, putting a backseat on my samples because other people are pushing harder. Other people have more support. I get it. You know, I would love for him to get me on a live with him and do something, but I'm not pushing harder than other people. So it's not going to happen. And I've kind of made peace with that. I've kind of made peace with myself, with who I am, what I want from this channel, and what I'm willing to do for it. You know, I mentioned up in the chat earlier to Stanley to reach out to Dusty Dan. Dusty Dan's got over 1,000 subs, and in large part because he is more comfortable doing that kind of work with channels like My Bourbon Journey, Scott, and Jason at the Mash and Drum. I like both those guys, and I think both those guys like me fine, but there's a self-promotion component that I'm just not good at. I'm not good at it. And, you know, I really respect those guys. I like their work. I like their channels. I comment on their videos because I like them. But I'm always going to probably get lost in the fray because I'm just unwilling to do what is required. And honestly, that's part of why I reached out to Stanley, because I know Stanley. I know how he operates. And he pushes and gets a lot of pushback. He gets a lot of good feedback. He is connected to this world in a way that I'm just finding myself incapable of being connected. And I don't fully understand why. I'm thinking it's a personality issue. But I don't really care. You know, I didn't make this channel to be successful or make money or whatever bullshit. No. I made this channel to be myself, to share some pours with my friends, to share my pours with you guys, and talk about whiskey and to have a good time. And if I don't ever get big, if I don't ever get over 1,000 subs, so be it. So be it. Because I've got 16 people watching this stream right now. And that's all I need. I just need people to engage and have fun and to sip good whiskey. That's all I need out of this. If nothing else comes of it, I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with that. And that took some time, I'll be honest. When I started this channel, I did it with the expectation of making it a business, making it a career. I don't think that way anymore. And not just because I've been like beaten down or jaded by the system. No. It's because I've come to understand what this is really about. This isn't about a business. This isn't about making money. It's a community. It's a community. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Because I've met some amazing people in this. I'm so happy that I've made the connections that I have. I wouldn't have met half the people in the chat right now, at least, maybe more than half, frankly. I wouldn't have met you guys but for this hobby and but for this channel. I wouldn't have tried some of the most rare and interesting and delicious and unique whiskeys in the world but for this channel. And if that is the only thing that comes from it, that's enough. But it's not the only thing that comes from it, because I have made some amazing friendships because of it. All right. That's a lot of preaching. Let's taste some whiskey. Now, this is my revisit of the Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 19. I didn't really enjoy it blind. And I didn't really enjoy it when I first opened it. But tonight, it was middle of the pack, so let's give it a taste. See, this is so much different than any of the other weeders in this lineup. The mid-palate on this thing is crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can't, like, give you some tasting notes on this. Man. So, it's like, I mean, I hate to say it because it's Jefferson's Ocean, but it tastes like an old ship. It's got this, like, old, worked over oak with, like, a sea breeze saltiness. I mean, right off the bat, first taste, you get raisins and a hint of lemon and a hint of orange. There's a candy, like a rock candy sweetness, not like a flavored rock candy, just like crystalline sugar sweetness. But man, that finish, that is just such a unique pour. And you know, like, there's not a lot gone from this bottle. But I will say this has opened up really exquisitely. If I had put a fresh pop of this bottle into this... Nothing broke. We're fine. If I had put a fresh pop of that bottle into this lineup, it would have been dead last. I guarantee you. Because I remember opening this bottle and being so disappointed. We got some chatter going on here. I don't think it's a 20-year-old MD. I think it was the Voyage 20. He said, we got Farm DM. That is a hell of a name. Farm DMS PhD says, cracking a Jefferson's Ocean 12, not a wiener, but... yeah, I do think that one does have that funky decomposing stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's, you know, the ocean. You feel like that's a gimmick, but it's not. There's some sort of flavor component going on there. It really does have this sort of sea breeze vibe, and it's totally different. You know, I got a table full of weeders. Like, look at this shit. Like, this is a table full of weeders. And the ocean stands out, not because it's like the best, but it's certainly one of the most unique. All right, now I've done and fucked it up. I knew that was going to happen. That's slightly better. But yeah, like, I knew that was going to happen. Like, of course it's going to be, you know, kind of weird. It just doesn't fit into the vibe of some of these other pours. Bourbon Ballers killing a 24-year-old Parker's. Here's the sound of me sad that you're not saving me some. I just wanted you to hear that. we figured out what you meant, man. Yeah, and Carter Springer says, cheers, I just enjoy watching others share the same love for bourbon as I do, regardless of channel size. I really appreciate that, Carter. You know, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But I think that like there's a personality component to all of this, and being excited about and being engaged with what you're doing matters more than anything else. And I know for a fact that there are some channels out there that are got 2,000-3,000 subs that are doing whiskey content that don't care about this as much as I do. And that's not really a knock against them. It's just they got lucky, they got hot quick, you know, they found some sort of niche that they filled very quickly, and you know, they got a couple thousand subs in a couple of months. Man, I've been making this content since 2020 February, more than a year now, and I intend to keep doing it for another several years. 2 videos a week plus a live stream. It's not casual at that point. Hey, I appreciate you guys appreciating it. Farm DMS PhD. Bourbon Baller says he needs to move to Indiana. It would be a problem, all the MGP out there. Yeah, there's a lot of it out here. But it sounds like you've got a pretty good setup. I mean, every time I hear you talking about the pours that you've got, Bourbon Baller, I'm always kind of like, damn, I need to move to Seattle. So be careful what you wish for, my man. Carter says, personally, I get a whole lot of dill coming from the oceans. Dill. Interesting. Oh, I can see that. That sharpness. I can see that sharpness. Chris Russell, throwing tax law jokes in the chat. If you weren't excited, it would be a sham transaction. I don't know, Chris. I get pretty excited about sham transactions. You know, I litigated a couple of those over at AG when I was over there, and that is a fun issue. For those of you who aren't tax law nerds, sham transactions are hard to prove, but they're a lot of fun to try to prove. I'll just say that. I feel like I'm pretty in the safe saying that. Yeah. All right, where's that old rip? Give me that 10-year old rip at 107. This is the shit right here. This is the stuff that sells for $650 on the secondary market, which is stupid but accurate. They some kind of how are getting $650 out of these bottles. Oh, I get it. I get it. Like, if you assume, all right, if you assume this Old Fitz 14-year, let's assume that's worth MSRP. MSRP for those Old Fitz decanters, if you don't know, is $10 per year, so it's $140 MSRP. I would have a hard time saying that this Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year is not 3 times better than that. That gets me to 430. 420. That gets me to 420. I do not. I've got water. You know, so would I pay 420 for another Old Rip Van Winkle aged 10 years? Maybe. I'd consider it. That is just fan-damn-tastic. I mean, I don't know that any whiskey in the world is worth $650. I mean, I've tasted Michter's 20, which I think retails for $700. And I have a real hard time with the thought of that. Like, if I saw Michter's 20 for $700, you know what? If I saw Michter's 20 for $700 on the shelf, I would have a really hard time not buying it, but I would also have a really hard time not selling it, because that thing sells for several $1,000s. And so what I would probably do is talk to a buddy of mine and do a bottle trade and be like, here, I'll trade you this Michter's 20 that I know you love for like several bottles that I really like that you're lukewarm on, and you know, get probably $1,000-$1,200 worth of bottles out of the trade. He gets a good deal because that's way below secondary, but I get a good deal too. Bourbon Baller, most of my pours come from Connecticut, where I grew up, and have friends in the same line of work that run warehouses, so I'm very lucky to have them and the community. That is a great connection to have, Bourbon Baller. Congratulations, my man, because, yeah, I mean, I've seen you talk about some of these serious pours that you're tasting that, frankly, I've never been able to find even an ounce of. So that's a great thing to have. Cheers to that, my man. D. Brown, I just picked up my first bottle of Maker's Cask Strength. I'm pleasantly surprised. Well, that's good. I don't think I've had any of the Cask Strength Makers. I've got a 101 in there, but I haven't tried it. Henry says, William LaRue Weller is worth $650 easy. Too bad it's $1,300 secondary. Yeah. To this day, I think the best whiskey I've tried on video was the William LaRue Weller. I did the 2019 video. You can check that out on my channel later, tomorrow, after the stream is done. Stay on the stream. Nope, I still don't need a water refill. I still have water, but thank you, babe. Yeah, the 2019 William LaRue Weller was just amazing, just phenomenal, and you know, you can just see my face on the video I made, just loving it. It was unlike anything I'd ever tried before. Just fantastic. BTAC is a weak spot for me. Why don't you expand on that, Bourbon Baller? I want to know what you mean. I'm curious now. What does that mean? It's a weak spot for you. Carter says, had my first pour of the Old Winkle not long ago at an absolute dive bar for $15. Couldn't believe it when I saw it. Hot damn, Carter, you got a deal, my man. Was that the old rip, the 10-year? Let me know in the chat, Carter. Was that the 10-year? Because that is a hell of a price. We got Farm DMS PhD saying, have any of you guys had the Chattanooga 111 cask bourbon? I picked up a bottle, and it's one of my current dailies. Delish. D. Brown says he hasn't had the Chattanooga yet. I have had the Chattanooga 111. The one I had was just okay. It was a store pick or a private barrel selection. I'm not sure which, but they're, you know, equivalent in many ways. I think that the Chattanooga Tennessee whiskey has a lot of potential. There's some good things that are going to come out of there. They haven't sort of fully come into their own, and what that means for consumers is that the barrel selections or the picks off the shelf are going to be hit or miss. You know, there are some out there that are very, very good, no question. And the one I tasted was quite good. It just wasn't special. It wasn't. It didn't stand out, which is incredibly hard to do right now in the bourbon world because there are so many small companies in Tennessee and Texas and Kentucky and wherever. You know, they're all over the world are making whiskey, but all over Indiana. I almost said all over Indiana. All over the U.S. are making bourbon, so it's hard to stand out. Carter says it was Lot B. He tried for $15. The bartender rung it up and said, wow, this must be a nice one for $15. That's fun. So, Carter, how'd you feel about that $15 Lot B? Because I've had Lot B, and I was super unimpressed with it. Now, I've had the 107 right here. There. And I freaking loved it. So, I don't know if it's a proof issue. I don't know what's going on. But I'd be curious how much you liked Lot B. I'm going to be doing a video. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I'm going to be doing a video, probably for my birthday, that has all of the Van Winkle bourbons. The Lot B, the Old Rip 10, the Pappy 15, Pappy 20, and Pappy 23, all side by side. in the near future. Bourbon Baller says the Double Eagle Very Rare is just okay. Well, I would love to find out for myself. If you've got any, let me know. We can make that happen. Bourbon Baller says, BTEC is my jam. Everything about it. Finally got to try the Double Eagle from a local friend. GTS Saz 18 is just a solid lineup again. I'm a lucky man. GTS is by far my favorite. I think GTS, of the ones that I've tried a couple of pours from GTS, a couple of pours from William LaRue. I've tried a Sazerac, one of the 18 years, one of the Eagle Rare 101s, and 3 of the Handies. Of all of those BTEC selections, my favorite is the William LaRue Weller. But the second place is definitely George T. Stagg. Carter says, very sweet, very oaky, but very low proof. Dying to try the Old Rip at a higher proof. Yeah, I think you'll like the Old Rip better, Carter. To be honest, it really hit all the right notes for me. You know, I like a bourbon at 107. I like Weller Antique 107. I've had other Wild Turkey products that were in that range. You know, I think they do a lot of like 110 releases, but you know, 107's a sweet spot in my mind. You know, you get around 53.5% alcohol. That's a sweet spot for bourbon. Henry says, don't sleep on that Woodinville cast strength bourbon from Washington. Very good. It is very good. I'll tell you what, Woodinville is an up-and-comer. I've had a couple of Woodinvilles that were okay, but I've had a couple that were quite good. So once they get their process all sorted out and streamlined and they're starting to do the best things they can do, watch out. Watch out. Bourbon Baller knows. He says that's solid, and that dude's drinking hitters. Hitters. Okay. All right, let me taste this. So I've got pours in front of me here of the Old Rip. Well, let's kill this Weller Antique 107 because I'm just done with it. Oh, that was the full proof. That was this bad boy. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. That's a very good pour. I will say I think it gets better when you let it breathe. I know this is a sacrilege in certain corners, but I would strongly consider adding some water to that Weller Full Proof. The 148, and I don't mean a lot. I mean, if you pour yourself an ounce, I would add 5 drops of water from a dropper, from an eyedropper, that kind of drop. Hey, look what's up. Nate is finally here. How are you doing? D. Brown says, why do you think Larceny barrel proofs are duds at the Drink Pro? Well, excuse me. I don't think all of the Larceny BPs are duds. They've had a couple of duds, though. And I talked about this a little bit. I don't remember what video it was, but I talked about this a little bit. I think the Larceny Barrel Proof line is kind of experiencing what George T. Stagg experienced when they first released Stagg Jr. Because Stagg Jr., if you've had them, the first several releases are not good. They're not good. And I think that really stems from them trying to find their own profile. Because when you take something like let's be clear here. Okay? Larceny Barrel Proof is trying to mimic other barrel proof products from Heaven Hill, but be cheaper. Well, who's making barrel proof Heaven Hill? You got your Elijah Craig, but they're trying to do something a little different. The profile is different from Elijah Craig. They're trying to do something more like a barrel proof version of the Old Fitz, or maybe even a Johnny Fitzgerald, like heavy hitters. And they're, you know, it's a hard niche to fill. And I think that the Larceny Barrel Proof has to figure out what it wants to be first. I'm going to do a video in the future tasting the B520 against the A120. I might try to get my hands on the most recent releases so I can do a side-by-side by side. That would be ideal. If you can have the A121, if you have access to the A121 Larceny, hit me up and we can do a sample swap or something so I can get that sample, because I think that'd be a great video. But the Larceny Barrel Proof is just hasn't found its voice yet. It's trying to do too many things, and that ends up creating a product that's just flat. Yeah, Nate's finally here. Bourbon Baller is killing the fucking GTS. Damn it, Bourbon Baller. You were supposed to save some of that for me. Come on, man. Help me out. MD. Nothing pisses me off more than BT Winkle discussions. Maybe in 30 years they will catch up with the man's pricks. Market manipulators. You're not wrong, MD. You're not wrong. I will tell you this, though, MD. I've seen discussions with their current master distiller, Chris Wheatley. I think his name's Chris. He has been putting a lot of time, effort, and money into expanding their distillate production and their aging facilities. So they are trying to meet demand. I think they just were not prepared for how aggressive demand would show up. Now, that said, Harlan, thank you. What did I say? It doesn't matter. MD corrected me. Harlan Wheatley. He has, really pushed a lot of good things at Buffalo Trace, but they are still manipulating the market. I think that's most visible with the Weller series. You see the Weller single barrel be released, which absolutely should not exist. When you can't meet demand with your other Weller products, why the fuck are you making a single barrel? It's a stupid decision for consumers. It's a smart decision for a business. But the thing of it is, here's the thing of that. Here's what bothers me about that. If Harlan Wheatley is making money from issuing the Weller single barrel, that's fine. I get it. Go make your money, boo. Go be a capitalist. Fine. But they don't. The Weller prices from the distillery are not jacked way up. The old Rip Van Winkle and the other Van Winkle products are not jacked way up on the MSRP. That price is being jacked up at the store level and at the distributor level. And that's why I'm so confused by these decisions. Because why the hell is Harlan creating the single barrel product? What's the point? How is he benefiting from this? You already can't meet demand, and now you're going to make it even harder to meet demand on Weller. Why? Because if it was because you're making more profit on this, then I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But that's not what's happening, because I've seen the prices that are coming out of the fucking distillery. All right, I'll get off my my soapbox here. Nate has been busy hanging with the wifey. Stop that. Cut that shit out. Bourbon Baller says, getting good with a store owner and a decent priced liquor store, develop a relationship. I think that's what we're doing, Bourbon Baller. We're developing a relationship right here on the internet. MD says he lives in North Carolina and there's no liquor stores. Yeah, one of those control states, huh? That's some bullshit. Carter says, spending 6 months slaving for my first Stag Junior, then came into 4 more in 2 weeks. Thoughts on the Batch 15? Carter, you are in luck. I did a video review of Batch 15. You should absolutely check it out. Spoiler alert, I liked it. But I think you should watch the video not just because of the 15, but because if you came into 4 more batches, I give my results of the review process I did between all 15 batches in that video. So you should definitely check it out because you'll get a sense of where I ranked each of the batches that you now own. Congrats, by the way. Farm DMS PhD says, I've got the A120 if you need a sample. Unfortunately, I have the A120, but I appreciate you offering. Thank you, sir. Nate says, Kyle Trevor has the A121. You can have a sample if he wants to pour you one. I would love that. That would be a great sample to get. I'm sure I can talk Trevor into it. Henry says the batch 15 is good, better than 14 and 13. Yeah, I've got to agree. D. Brown says give credit to BT, their original money maker. I just read Henry's comment about single barrel being an abortion. Oh, Jesus, Henry, that's funny stuff, man. Yeah, the single barrel is ridiculous. It's not that good. It's way overpriced, and it's still not a moneymaker. It's such a bad decision. All right, let me get back into this Old Fitz 9 here. I shouldn't have bought that second bottle of that. That was stupid. Carter blinded the 15, the 12, and the 14 and rated them in that order. I know I put the 15 first of those three. I don't know where I put the 12 and the 14. I think I probably matched that order, though, Carter. Nate's throwing YouTube links up. What's that link for, Nate? There it is. Good man. Appreciate it, Nate. Nate's throwing up that batch 15 review, and that's for you, Carter. So you should check out that video that Nate just linked in the chat. His name is Nathan in the chat, but he is Nate. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have bought a whole other bottle of that. It's fine. It's fine. But when you spend... I mean, now, again, this was not secondary pricing. I had a good friend sell me this bottle. I spent $120 on the second bottle I bought of the Old Fitzgerald 9, which... it's more than MSRP, but it's less than standard secondary pricing by a lot. But man, I blinded that 9-year. I blinded it with Nate and Trev, and I found it to be my favorite. I blinded it with a couple of buddies, Zach and Miranda. Miranda's in the Patreon, and I found it to be my favorite. Like, why did I find this Old Fitz 9-year to be so good so many times, and then tonight it shows up and it's fucking garbage? I can only assume it's because it's mostly empty now, and it's had too much time open. I can only assume that, you know, my desire for, you know, only using open bottles for this picked out some bottles that should probably have been killed already. D. Brown, I was saying Weller hypes the distillery as a whole, then they sell more budget offerings. That makes sense. I do think that Buffalo Trace is a hype machine. No question about that. And Weller's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like Weller good enough, but fucking garbage, bro. Hakeem, I always enjoy your comments. Maybe you ate Mexican or Indian curry for dinner. I didn't do either of those things, Henry, but I'm very curious what inspires that comment. So please elaborate, Henry. I want to know what you're thinking there. Bourbon Baller says, trying not to pull the trigger on another Baccarat. My friend just called me. The bourbon industry never sleeps. I would love to try the Baccarat, but I just can't imagine spending $2,000 on it. That just seems insane to me. I know, Bourbon Baller, you said you loved it, but jeez, like $2,000 for a bottle? Fuck, bro. MD says, I got to try the 11-year Old Fitz at a bar once. Pretty, but nothing special. Reminded me of Macallan Scotch in a way. Ooh, interesting. That would be a really fun side-by-side to do 11-year-old Fitz and a Scotch. It is insane. It drinks quick. Well, that's not good for me, man, because quick drinkers disappear in my house. Nate says, I think you went into tonight having higher expectations compared to a blind where you have no idea what you are drinking. That might be true, Nate, but when I've done the blinds in the past, I always knew the Weller, or I'm sorry, I always knew the Old Fitz 9 was in the blind. I mean, that could be, Henry. I mean, I didn't have Mexican or curry today, but my palate could be whacked from some other thing. It's hard to tell. Your palate is sort of a sensitive machine, so you can always end up screwing it up based on other things. If you're a smoker, that's always a classic example. Like if you smoke a cigar or a pipe or a cigarette, that can always fuck with your palate. I think eating spicy food can always mess your palate up. I think that there are also, it doesn't even have to be like aggressive. Like, you eat a bunch of pineapple and your sense of sweetness is going to be totally skewed. Any kind of food stuff is going to mess with your palate. How long have I been doing this? Holy shit, it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, I've been doing this for 3 hours. Wow. Well, that was unexpected. I sort of anticipated this being a pretty quick stream, and it's kind of gotten away from me. D. Brown says, I always do my best drinking in the AM, JK. But you're not just JK, though. That's the thing, is like, your palate is the most clear and crisp about 10 a.m. If you want to figure out sort of the ideal notes for your palate, you can take an ounce and sip on it at 10 a.m. Now, you don't have to drink it if you don't want to. You can spit it out or whatever, but, something at 10 a.m., you're going to find out about yourself. You were gone for a week. Maybe that's what it is, Bourbon Baller. Maybe I just forgot how, entrapping. I get sucked into these streams, and maybe that's what's going on. Bourbon does taste better in the morning when you have a clean palate. Yeah, like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., that's the ideal time. And people are going to frown on you. Yeah, Chris says meeting at 10 a.m. Yeah, we can have a meeting. Throw it on my calendar, Chris. Actually, I've got a call at 10 a.m. But I tell you what, I'll be free at 11:30. Bourbon Baller says 4 a.m. I've seriously considered doing a 10 a.m. live stream, Nate, on Saturdays or on Sundays. Actually, like Sunday's my favorite because like. It's like a quiet day. It's an easy day. Sundays are just really nice, relaxing times. And like nothing to me says a nice, relaxing time like a nice dram. Pour me a bourbon into a Glencairn and I'll just sit there and drink it and relax and have a good old chill time Sunday at 10 a.m. Chris ain't ready for what's coming to him tomorrow. It's going to be funny. He is not ready. Oh, man. Carter says, bourbon also tastes better with others. Four Roses single barrel OESO for me tonight. Oh, gosh. Carter, the OESO is a fantastic single barrel. It's one of my favorite single barrels. That really is a fantastic one. When you have a 2-year-old that doesn't exist, haha, and says Nate. Well, I mean, that's what you get for having a 2-year-old, Nate. That's your damn fault. I wrapped it up, so I don't have a 2-year-old. Oh man, I'm very glad I don't have a kid right now. World-class sustenance, way too late. What was the verdict on the Old Fitz? Well, I tell you what, world-class sustenance. The Old Fitz 9-year was very unfortunately disappointing because I bought a second bottle of it because I liked it so much in other blinds, but in the blind tonight, it finished 7th out of 8th in between two larceny store picks, which are significantly cheaper than that $90 bottle. Henry's heading out. We have a Battle of the Weeders soon. Send me a message, Henry, for real. For real, send me a message because my memory's shit. I won't remember otherwise. Send me a message. We'll find a time. We'll do the Battle of the Weeders. Have a good night, brother. The Old Fitz 14-year tied for 4th out of 8. And the 13-year tied for 3rd out of 8. This is all in response to World-Class Sustenance's question about what was the verdict on the Old Fitz. I would say mostly middle of the pack. It got beat by the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year, which fucking of course it did. It fucking should. The bigger surprise, though, was the Weller Antique 107 Big Red Liquors pick from 2019. I was surprised how much I liked that and how much that stood up in the blind because I really didn't care for that on the fresh crack or even for most of the first half of that bottle. MD says, I really shouldn't be drinking much in general anymore, but had a bottle of Four Roses single barrel this week and it blew me away. Red candy apples up the wazoo and oily apricots at the opening. Whew, that sounds fantastic, MD. Yeah, I've had to cut back on my drinking pretty significantly for medical reasons, and you got to do what the doctors say. You really do. I mean, it's very uncommon, from what I've heard, to be told you can't have anything to drink. That just doesn't happen very often. But they might put an ounce restriction on you. And that's what they've done with me. And I think that's a thing that you can work around. You really can. Don't ignore your health. Like, health is the most important thing. Y'all got to stick around a long time because I'm making these videos for a long time. So stick around and take care of yourself. Akeem says, shit, I'm turning 40 on Sunday, gonna break out the HP 30. Akeem, you might need to send me your address, brother. I need to be a part of this. I would like to say I'm joking, but I'm kind of not. Like, Akeem, if you send me your address, I'll probably show up on Sunday. Because I want in, man. I want in. I'll bring a couple bottles. You let me know, man. You let me know. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right. Bourbon Baller says 750 milliliter restriction. Yeah. So I actually had I've had a couple of fun conversations with my doctors about alcohol restrictions. And because of the new medicine that I'm on. And so I've gotten some further guidance on this. And part of what I'm able to do tonight is basically because I'm not going to drink tomorrow or probably either the next day. It's just a balance thing. Akeem says, I would for sure, man, but my wife might not like it. LOL. Well, if your wife... Well, you know what? I'll say this, Akeem. What the issue is there may mean that there is some flexibility. For example, if the issue is like, oh, I don't want other people in the house, there's a COVID issue or something. It's going to be nice. It's nice this weekend. It's going to be beautiful outside. We can hang out outside. We can do a 6-foot distance. I've got masks. I've got Drink Pro masks in the store that you can buy at thedrinkpro.com. So, I get it. I understand the wife restrictions. I don't have a wife, but I have a girlfriend, and I have girlfriend restrictions. But if you want to make it work, if there are restrictions that I must follow, if you're popping up some 30-year-old shit, you let me know. You let me know what I gotta do, Akeem. We'll find a way to make it work, brother. You're not that far away from me. I know that. I know you're here in the Indy area. So, we can make it work. That's right, Bourbon Baller. You gotta take care of yourself. That is the first goal. Figure out what you have to do. And for real, like, be honest with your doctors. Like, I think that a lot of people lie to their doctors about how much they drink or about how much they smoke. I got a lot of friends that smoke weed, and they lie to their doctors about it. And it's like, don't fucking do that. They're not there to judge you. Their job is not to tell you you shouldn't be smoking weed, you shouldn't be drinking liquor. No. Tell them what you're doing and then say, hey, doc, how do I sustain this lifestyle? Like, figure out what they actually think you can sustain and do that shit. Because I'll tell you what, being honest with your doctor is something that I honestly didn't do for a long time. I've started doing recently, and I'm really glad that I'm doing it because it makes it a lot easier for me to make informed decisions about my own body. Understanding where I am from a health perspective and what I have to do and what I have to not do makes it really easy for me to go, oh, I don't want to do that. I can't do that right now. I've got this restriction in place, you know, and that's fine. Like, nobody, I don't get any shame from it from the bourbon community. Nobody shames me for it. Nobody cares because they know I'm taking care of me. And so you can do that too. Akeem said it's for sure the COVID shit, but we'll get up on that HP 30 sometime soon, guaranteed. All right, my man. Especially once it gets warm, I got a nice backyard deck. We chilling. I am here for it, Akeem. I am here for it. D Brown, my doctor is the fattest guy I know. I need a new doctor. Or you need some fatter friends, D Brown. You know the big red liquors guy, the spitter. I think you're talking about Matt, MD. And you know what? On a lot of live streams, I have become that, MD. There are a lot of whiskeys that when I'm doing these live streams, by the end of it, I got to spit out because I've reached my limit. Now, I'll be frank, I'm going beyond my limit tonight, but that's because I've decided that for the next couple of days, I'm not drinking at all, that's how like I said, I talked to my doctor about this. I said, hey, is this like a 2-drink minimum every day or maximum every day? Or is there some flexibility here? And we had a real conversation about this. So I'm going over my average tonight specifically because I can go under it for other days. Going to bed? All right. Yolanda's going to bed. MD says, Matt. Yep. Yeah, so, like, make sure you know what you're doing and then follow those rules. Yeah, I've had to spit some things out in the past. I'm sure I will do it in the future. It's part of the process. Nate says, Akeem, ride to Ohio with Kyle. I have lots of outdoor space to drink. Nate, I might be hitting you up in the near future because I need to get away. We might have to have a sesh, my man. I don't know if Akeem's gonna join me or not, but I may have to come over to your place. I've got so many empty Glens. This is the only one that's left right there. That might have been a mistake. Oh no! Uh-oh. I broke it. I gotta fix the webcam. There we go. Come on now. That's what I get. All right, that's what I get for being. Oh, that's not the right angle at all. Okay. That's what I get for trying to be cute, you know. It's all my Glens. I got one left. This is the Old Rip Van Winkle, 10-year, 107 proof. That's just so fucking good. I like Akeem's response. Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh, I got trash everywhere. I'm just being sloppy over here. I got trash everywhere. All right, gang. I'll tell you this. There are some changes coming to the Drink Pro channel. Some pretty significant changes I anticipate. It's just okay, right? The RIP 10 year. Yeah. I got some pretty significant changes to the channel coming in the near future. I got to get those sorted out. Yeah, the RIP 10 year is just okay, Bourbon Baller. It's just okay. But I'll tell you more about the coming changes to the channel in the future. For now, I will tell you that this Sunday is the Patreon live stream where they're going to taste whiskeys that they have selected in the in a poll that I put up on Patreon. So if you want to be a part of cool shit like that, you should absolutely join me on the Patreon. The address is right here, www.patreon.com/thedrinkpro. There's all kinds of fun content out there. You should definitely meet me right there. Yeah, this Sunday is going to be a tasting of several different whiskeys that I'm literally unable to do on the channel. I won't give too much more detail than that, but you should join so you can see shit like that. I've also got the week after this coming Saturday, I'm going to be doing a video tasting of 5 different samples that are very nice that I've sent out to people at the $12 level and above in the Patreon. They are in a great place because they are getting some serious value. It's actually the $12 level is the best value on the Patreon. There you get. I mean, honestly, I don't make any money off of the $12 level. I don't. Like, I probably should, but I don't right now. MD says, could these bastards feasibly open enough warehouses for common people to be able to have Van Winkle level stuff in 10 years? I wish I could work in the industry somehow and make it happen. It's possible, but I would be surprised. That would be a hell of a lot of expansion. And they really want to keep the 10-year allocated and limited just for, marketing purposes. But yeah, as Nate knows, he's at the $12 level. Although I really feel like Nate should be at the $25 level. Like, Nate is my wrench. He is a part of this community. Like, why Nate isn't at the $25 level or the $50 level is just, it's bizarre. It's beyond me. He's just, I don't know. He just doesn't love freedom, I think. I think he hates America, and that must be why. Nace is gonna go with $3. Bourbon Baller says, I'm getting people fired up. It's fucking great. Are you kidding me? Absolutely, man. You should get people fired up. Absolutely. Yeah, I tried to make a lot of fun content. Like I said, a week from Saturday, I'm going to do the Zoom call with the $12 and above levels with a serious tasting package. I mean, there's some stuff in there that you cannot pick up off the shelves. There's more than one pour in that tasting package that you cannot pick up off the shelves. No matter where you are. Any state in the U.S., you can't pick it up off the shelves. That's the kind of shit I'm putting in these tasting levels. Anywho. Yeah, that's right. Store pick a Melicorn. That would be accurate, wouldn't it, Nate? Anyway, I've drank too much whiskey. I'm going to go eat a bunch of chicken and go to bed. And then I've got a surprise for my boy Chris in the morning. But everyone else, y'all keep drinking like professionals. Thank you for joining me. I'll be around next week. If you need anything, reach out to me. thedrinkpro@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on, Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm not very active on Twitter, but I am on Twitter. So, if you want to reach out to me there, you can. Reach out to me however you can. And let's chat. Let's make something happen. Henry and I are going to do a fun whiskey tasting. I got some whiskey for Chris. I've got some fun stuff with Bourbon Baller in the future. And you absolutely should consider joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/TheDrinkPro. It helps me out a lot. It makes this channel easier to continue doing. And there's some really legit good benefits. Like, it's not just a donation. You are getting something out of it. So, I got to get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.